Alrighty. We are live.
We did it?
Yes.
We're live?
We are live right now.
Ah, you didn't tell me.
It's true. I can already see that there's people in the chat. Although it says that the resolution's not good. So...
Are we blurry? A little blurry?
I think the issue would mostly be stuttery, but let's find out. There might be buffering issues, but I think we might be coming in pretty clean. Okay.
Oh, I can see us right here.
Looks like we look pretty good there.
Yeah. Not bad.
Yeah. All right. Hello. Hello, friends. Just going to get my analytics up real quick so I can see how everything's going. Okay. Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Step Back Tonight. It's, for those who, this is their first time here, this is a weekly show that I do every Tuesday night in which I usually stream by myself, talking about random stuff or, you know, doing a random thing. But today's a very special day because America, a country that many of you are from, at least 40% of you compared to analytics, and my dear wife here, Kelly, who if you haven't heard before, say hi.
Hi. Oh, me. I thought you were talking to them.
No. So if you didn't know, she's from the United States, and so we're gonna watch America fall apart in a horrible fashion.
Yeah, Tristan invited me because he didn't feel qualified to speak about the American election, not being an American himself. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
that's not true.
Wait,
that's
what?
not true.
Alrighty. So we're gonna try to keep you. We're gonna try to hang out, talk about election stuff. Try to see if we can tell you all some races, answer some questions. Yeah, all that kind of fun stuff you see at a normal, you know, episode of Step Back Tonight, but then there's an election going on in the background. I know the other thing too is that I'm really glad you folks are here. There are 37 of you here. You could have been anywhere. You could have been watching the Chapo Trap House stream. You could have been watching any other stream, but you're here with us, and we really appreciate that. Cheers. We're also going to be drinking. Actually, I think you got us 2 beers apiece, so I think that...
Well, I got you 3.
Oh, okay. So we're good.
You need a little extra booze.
All right, so Mameb is watching this while attending a watch party.
My
Meta.
chat's
Wait,
frozen.
wait, Mameb, does that mean that, like, this, like, we are the entertainment for a watch party? Or are you, like, watching this on your phone while you're at the watch party? Forest is just like, wait, there are better streams? What should I be watching instead? Well,
Gotta build that step backer community.
yep.
Indeed.
Anyways, so yeah, if we can keep American election themed questions, if not, like, we're not a high, like, I'm not your mother, like, you can ask any questions you want, really. We'll just hang out, and you can watch how great my jokes land live.
Oh, they're gonna land well.
Looks like you might be the only proper leftist coverage this year round, at least if you count Chapo as sock dems. Yeah, you're right.
I guess I shouldn't talk that much then.
Yeah, you would probably put yourself as a sock dem or whatever.
I don't want to pull you right. Not too far right, don't worry. But I'm a little more right than him.
All right. Missouri's local teenage anarchist is coming in. Thank you, Logan. Welcome aboard. Let's see. Was anybody halfway okay running anywhere? Yes. A Mr. Bernard Sanders has been elected senator of Vermont again with a huge majority. And also Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is running for Congress in New York's 14th district, and I think that she is very likely, I think it's like an extremely blue district, so she's very likely to win. That would be perfect. So, like, I think that at least those 2 people are running, and they have both have a pretty good chance of winning. As far as tonight, though, like, looking at the race as a whole, let me just give you like an outline of like what the state of the election is. So, for anybody who hasn't taken American civics or who doesn't know how this whole system works, is that ever since 1776, well, actually 1780, there have been elections on every other year. And what happens is that the Congress is made up of multiple branches, 3 branches specifically, or there's three branches that are elected.
Whoa. Congress, 3 branches.
All right, sorry. Congress has got the 2 branches, and then there's the executive branch. So those are the 3 elected things, and so all of them have their own cycles. The House members get elected. There's 65 people right now. Sweet. I think it's a new record. No, I think it was ContraPoints. Oh, 1789. 1789. Yes, that is the year of 1789 is an important year. I think that's when the Constitution was ratified or when it was put into action. Because that was wait, let me think about this. So that was the election. Because 1800 was the election where Thomas Jefferson got elected. I'm trying to think about this. Yeah, judicial is an elective. Yes. Okay. All right. I'm.
So in civics, when we talk about it, we talk about the 3 branches of government as the legislative, the executive, and the judicial.
Okay.
That's why you
Yeah.
it sound confusing.
All right. Judicial branch, Supreme Court, that's its own thing. Then Congress itself, the House members, they're elected every other year. So they are basically always campaigning. These are people that you probably know as... I feel like I don't need to explain this, but I should. Congress people, congressmen and women. The Senate, which is made up... by the way, the House is roughly proportioned based on population distribution. It's supposed to be like representation via population, but ever since it got limited to... ever since it got limited back in the Roosevelt administration, it hasn't really been that representative, but it tries. The other one is the Senate, and the Senate is made up of 2 per state in order to sort of balance out the more populous states. This was the Senate was a push by like states like Rhode Island and stuff like that when they were setting up how this would all work. So this is basically their compromise. The Senate, each of the states get 2 senators, and they all get elected on 6-year rotations. And so you'll find about 30 senators are up for election this year, or this time. I believe it's 30.
It's a third every election.
Yes, and there are 100 of them. And then the president, which is on a 4-year term. So that's where we are. This is so why am I talking about this in just this situation? So first of all the House is up for grabs, which means that it's a whole countrywide election. So that's usually where you can see the most amount of change happen in a short amount of time. So the House races are going to be more representative of the short-term whims of what's going on. The Congress the Senate is designed to change slower. And the ones who are up are people who were elected back in 2012, which was the election in which Mitt Romney, it was the Mitt Romney Obama election. And so if I recall that year, a bunch of Republicans won. That was sort of one of the Tea Party-ish years. And so so a lot of the Senate races this year, though, are there's a lot of Democrats who are running for the Senate who are in states that voted Democrat in 2012 that now are Trump country. So like good example, Indiana. Yep. Although I think Indiana voted for Romney in 2012.
That's true. We went blue I'm from Indiana, in case you don't know. We went blue in 2008 and voted for Obama. And since then, we've gone red every time. Although we have one of the important Senate races because our Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly is up for re-election. And so far, it's not looking too good for him. Mm-hmm. But we don't know what's going to happen with that yet.
Yeah. And so what this is going to be is there's a lot of Democrats in states that especially in the Midwest, who voted for Obama in 2012, but now have since voted for Trump. And what people are trying to figure out is whether or not the 2016 election was a fluke. This is the big question. Whether or not the big question is whether or not this is going to be similar to the pre-Trump election, whether you're going to see the Midwest go Democrat like it did before, or if the sort of Trump-ness has forever altered the playing field, in which case a lot of 2020, the 2020 strategy is all up in the air. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so that's where we're at. Hello, Michael Collins. Cheers. So that's where we are. That's why, if you look at all of the predictions, you'll see that what's looking fairly likely to come out of tonight is that the Democrats will take the House, and that the Democrats taking the Senate is a bit more of a long shot, because there's a lot more Democrats defending their seats. What am I drinking? I am drinking Bone Shaker, which is a local microbrew that is absolutely delicious, that I really have only been able to find in Ontario, but it's really good. It's very hoppy.
And I'm drinking an oatmeal stout.
Yep.
Because hops are not my thing.
Marshall the Macnavist asks if I'm an anarchist. Yes. Beto is ahead 18% in Texas.
Damn,
Holy
how many
shit.
reporting?
All right. We should probably get a thing.
Yeah, I thought you had the thing. I thought that's what you meant by analytics.
No, I meant like seeing how many people were watching the stream.
Oh, jeez. Not everything's about
All right.
you.
Yeah, okay, look, the CNN headline is Democrats take early leads in key races.
Awesome.
So this looks decent. All right. Let's open up the election results like a good stream. But yeah, okay. So the reason why Beto is so important is because Beto is running against Blobfish Ted Cruz.
He prefers to be called Beto.
Beto O'Rourke is running against Ted Cruz, and he is now up 56-42. Holy shit, that's a big one.
How many reporting?
There's already over 1 million votes in.
Wow.
Shit, son. And that's also without Austin. Austin and Houston and San Antonio aren't even in yet.
Holy.
Yeah.
Do you have swearing rules on your
No, you can swear all you
Awesome.
want. Dallas is in, but that's Dallas and Maverick. So yeah, so this is an election where a lot of people were really tepid because everyone was like, "Oh, the Democrats gonna be on the back foot." But I will say it is looking pretty. Oh nope, it just switched, and now Cruz just went ahead to 71%.
Oh, damn.
So I think a whole bunch of rural districts just came in. That's why. So, but that one is one that's in flux. It's updating pretty slow. So this is still like really early numbers. A lot of these polls closed like at 8 o'clock. So they're still counting votes. And in a lot of countries, I don't know why this isn't the way in America, but like because their polls close so early, there are like people lined up in front of polling places waiting to get their votes in. And I don't think they close until the line ends, right? Is that how it works?
Yes, I think that's true.
And so there's these are like really high. These are in really high fluctuation. But from what I can see right now, oh geez, okay, so this is the Senate. So
31's looking good.
Mm-hmm. Here's the House and the governor's race. Governors are a little bit different. I mean, while the Midwest is slipping red, many southwestern states in Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia are slipping Democrat. To an extent, yeah. The reason why for that is that's a lot of demographic trends. The American Southwest is becoming more Hispanic, which is a demographic trend that people have been seeing for decades coming. But the one that I think people aren't talking about as much is kind of what you pointed out with the Southeast becoming more Democrat, and that is because they are a prime place for a Democratic stronghold, and not just like in the southern sense. Like a lot of these states, like Georgia, for example, Georgia has the highest African American population percentage in the whole country. On top of that, a lot of big cities like Savannah and Atlanta and like what's it called, Raleigh and places like that are becoming more of these urban hubs that a lot of people from the north are moving to and a lot of businesses are moving into. And so there's now a kind of like how in Texas you have this these like urban islands of liberals, of people who move to Texas, usually in places like Dallas and Austin, and I think Austin is the one that's infamous, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In Houston, and you're seeing this in a lot of southern cities, and so this might tip the balance in quite a bit.
For Trobot 22, when Tristan was talking about polls closing at 8, it's about 8:20 here, Eastern Time, or 8:15. So 15 minutes ago. So there's lots of results to come in.
It's true. And also, that's true across the country. So at like 9 o'clock Eastern, all the central time states are going to start closing, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to go all the way until I think the last one that is like Alaska, which is like after the stream is over.
So in the next hour or two, we should have most of the results.
Yeah, once because basically once like the East Coast comes in, we'll have a pretty good idea of how things are shaking out. And also, a lot of the key races that we're following this time are in the Midwest, and in Appalachia. So, like Tennessee is one that we're supposed to be watching, but that one's looking like it's shaking out for the Republicans. But yeah, Sanders is winning, 62-31.
Nice.
Not surprising. Looks like O'Rourke is now back ahead of Cruz. I'm Ted Cruz! Looks close, though.
It's going to be a nail-biter.
But the cities aren't coming in. That's the thing. Beto O'Rourke is ahead in Texas, but, like, San Antonio and Austin and all of them haven't come in, which is huge. 5:15 Pacific equals 6:15 Mountain Time equals 7:15 Texas, Houston, 8:15 East Coast. Yeah. Thank you, Gatu Especial. Oh yeah, somebody. Okay. Oh yeah, we got a couple questions here. What kind of anarchist? Definitely anarcho-communist, lefty, super lefty. And then I got somebody who's asking for a Discord invite. So here is Discord. The Discord is pretty fun. It's pretty active. One of the more active Discords I've been involved with. It's the only Discord I've been involved with.
Thought you were in Thought Slimes.
It's true, but I don't go there very much. I should more.
Thanks for voting, Dylan.
You just voted in Hawaii. So next week, when the polls close, we'll know what happened. But yeah, join up the Discord. We're always looking for new folks. It's a fun place. You are not allowed to say the N-word, Adrian. No. An average person life, according to trends in the near future, moved to a city in the south for an unstable tech job, dies from mass flooding. Yeah, it sounds about right.
Cheery outlook.
Do you guys have the same political opinions? Like 95% yes.
Close. Yeah.
Kelly's more of a social democrat, and I am more radical and anarchist.
I like to believe in things that Tristan thinks are fairy tales, like compromise and working together and small incremental change. And I get that stuff doesn't normally work, or it hasn't been working. But I just really want to believe in that stuff. Also, I work for the government, so that's weird. It makes it hard to be an anarchist. So that's an interesting conversation we have.
538 says the Democrats are down to 2/3 odds in the House.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Indiana is looking like it's in the bag for Braun.
Yeah.
Which is...
Not surprising, but a little disappointing.
It was always going to be a long shot for the Democrats to take the Senate, so like right now the House is what we're going to hope for.
Working in government is a little bit like working for Parks and Rec, although I don't know any Ron Swansons in my office, but that would be pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he would have words for me.
Oh boy. But right now the Democrats and Republicans are pretty much in dead heat. I don't know. The states... See, like, the thing is, like, the House is going to be hard to say because, like, look at all these blue states that haven't come in yet. Like, look at all like the Atlantic Northeast is all still holding out.
We're on CNN, Laura.
Yeah, I'm following CNN just so I can keep like a.
And Gad, you have a good point. I mean, I'm not sure the world has time for incremental change, which is why we need people like Tristan and you guys to be pushing for that bigger change. And I'm being, the longer I'm with Tristan, the more he's swaying me that way. So
that's how it's going. Oh boy.
Our biggest political arguments are, he'll say anarchism, and I'll say how, and he'll say anarchism, and I'll say how.
It's fairly misconstrued.
I don't know.
You'll be like, how do you make it work? And then I'll say some stuff about how it makes it work, and you're like, I don't buy it.
Well, see, one of the big issues we have is we have a fundamental difference in our understanding of human nature. Not understanding, in our beliefs about human nature. I tend to think that people are a bit more self-interested. I wouldn't say all-out selfish, but I think people tend to be a bit more self-interested. And Tristan believes that that's just capitalism that has done that to people. So he thinks that without capitalism that we would be much more giving. And so things like small anarchist communes would work. And I hope he's right, but I'm just not so sure.
I do think that a lot of the things that people think are just human nature are things that are trained, basically, like selfishness and like cruelty and all that kind of, like that's all things that capitalism kind of teaches us over time. If we didn't have a society that kind of worshipped violence and worshipped selfishness and greed, we would be in a very different situation. Nail biters in Florida. Senator Elizabeth Warren got reelected.
Oh, good.
That wasn't so bad. That was to be expected, I think. Where have we said this in?
Michael, race is a thing. It's just a social construct. So it still has a lot of impact because people see it. You know, one of the things, I'm a psychologist by training, and one of the things that I learned is that perception is often more important than reality. So in the case of things like race, even though there's not necessarily a biological basis for it, it's still a really important concept because of the perceptions that people have about race.
Yeah. So yeah, we're looking at all the races coming in. 538's like, yeah, it's getting down to 50-50 now. This is how all elections turn out, isn't it? It always just, we always think that like one side's gonna win or the other, and then it always just comes down to like almost like a 50-50 thing. I mean, Democrats have an uphill fight in every single way. Voter suppression, but also the fact that they're down seats, like, yeah, and just low hopes for America. Oh, geez, okay. Just taking a look. It's really close in some places. Florida's looking real close. But it does look like Beto O'Rourke is squeaking ahead. Now, wouldn't it be hilarious if the Democrats took the Senate and not the House?
That would be funny.
How much of a train wreck is it so far? It's rough. Missouri, the Missouri Senate race, Hawley is shooting ahead of McCaskill, which that's an upset. If I remember Claire McCaskill, isn't that like...
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's one of those Democrats that always votes with the one of those Republicans that always votes with the Democrats, right?
Yeah, it's almost like if you do that, then why don't they just vote for Republicans? And also, Republicans are basically sweeping Missouri right now.
That's not surprising. I've been to Missouri.
Oh, man. Why do rural folk vote Republican? It has to do with when you live in a rural situation, you tend to have less education and you tend to be more socially isolated, which means that you are more susceptible to propaganda and you tend to have less contact with people who are considered part of your quote-unquote outgroup. So your outgroup is very exclusionary, i.e. you see people... For example, it's easier to be Islamophobic if you live in a rural area, because if you live in a rural area, you might have never actually seen a Muslim outside of, like, TV, you know? So that's basically, like, you know, that's, like, the exact... that's kind of the story behind it.
Logan, we all have home states we're not proud of. Didn't you hear me say I'm from Indiana?
All right. Are the use value and exchange value the same thing if we look over the case of money? Look at the case of money. Oh, geez, that's a tough one.
Ooh, economic theory.
Yeah. Yeah. The results are in for all Senate races and governor races. Jeb Bush won with 100%. Jeb. Oh man, I'm surprised the Jeb meme hasn't shown up yet.
I miss Jeb and his exclamation point.
Do you remember though? Like I'm talking about like the meme about like where every time they get, like anytime there's like one of these like maps where it's like, because like there's this really dumb thing that's happening in a lot of these like websites where like they'll be like, fill out your own predicted election map. And then, anytime one of those shows up, people just fill it all in with a third party and call it Jeb. And then there's a picture of Jeb Bush just going like this. And it's just like, it's great.
Please clap.
They did it for like the Mexican election. They did it for the 2016 election. They've been doing it for, I think they did it for Brexit. So like they've been, well, not Brexit. I'm trying to think of the other election they did it for. You're an anarcho Jeb Bushist.
I want to know why they flagged that.
I don't know.
So I just want to say that your normal streams have about 50 people, and now there's 119.
Holy shit.
And one of the only things that's different is that I'm here, so...
Yeah.
That's, I think, you know, ipso facto.
The Republicans are getting very close to controlling the Senate. The House is still pretty locked. It's still locked down. Like it's still up in the air. It's 40 to 42 races are called.
Ooh, this is a good question. Do you prefer presidential or parliamentary systems?
I prefer parliamentary systems. I think that parliamentary power gives too much, that presidential power gives too much authority to a single person. I actually really wish that we could get away from this, like, really antiquated idea that, like, there has to be, like, a one person who is, like, the face of the country. And I really don't think that... I don't know, I don't have very much... I think that in many cases, things like senates and presidents tend to tend to make decisions against what democracy wants, not what democracy wants. If that makes sense. Like, I'd get rid, like, the NDP, for example, here in Canada, their official policy is to abolish the Senate, and I agree with that.
Another good question that just came up is, do you like unicorns? And my answer to that is, who doesn't? Mm-hmm. They're awesome.
They're delicious.
Like magical horses.
They're delicious.
And also taste delicious. I need more beer. Do you need more beer?
I always need more beer. Okay. But yeah, a lot of rural people don't get tons of education, and so they do end up just not being exposed to new ideas. This is one of the things I think I said in one of my videos a little while ago, that I really think that going to post-secondary school and leaving home to go to post-secondary school, if you can afford to do it, is worth doing, because it develops you as a person a lot more than just like the degree will get you.
I'm now drinking McNall's Mission, which sounds very military. This is A brewery out of Blythe, Ontario.
Skeledro Man, the not Tristan person in the stream. This is Kelly, my wife.
Hi.
This stream, I chose I chose Tuesday night to do this stream because Kelly was a Girl Scout leader, but she's now going on a different night, so she's gonna actually, I don't know if she'll be in the stream, but she'll at least be present.
I'm sorry, guys. Anyone who knows about beer knows that was a mistake.
But she will be at least probably watching, or at least in the apartment when I'm doing the show from now on.
Yeah, and see, the reason I came on tonight is because Tristan said, "Oh, I'm doing an election stream," and I said, "Oh, I have to watch the elections by myself?" And he said, "You can come join me," and I said, "All right, that sounds good."
Yeah.
And then I obsessed about everything before we went live.
Oh.
So, but you folks have been very nice so far. So,
well, we don't want to leave home and go somewhere less diverse and progressive for school. Jeez. Tristan, what do you think about the European Union? I don't like how it's super neoliberal and in that sense, but I also like that it is a check on nationalism in a let's be honest, European countries have shown on 2 major occasions in the 20th century that they cannot be trusted with full individual sovereignty. So European Union makes sense for me. But I like that anything that reduces the power of individual countries makes me happy.
I mean, I don't think you're going to have to worry about the European Union for too long because all signs point to the fact that global collaboration, cooperation is going down. It's being reduced.
What do you think of all the leftist subreddits telling people not to vote? I think that's a little
shitty?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think that voting, if you can do it, like if you think about it, there's a whole old statement that said if voting did anything, they'd make it illegal. And the thing is, that's true, but they are trying to make it illegal, which makes you think that, like, yeah, actually, it is sort of a thing. But I do understand that if you didn't vote, because of the fact that, like, they purged the voter rolls, or you don't have photo ID, or you can't get time off work to go vote, like, those are all really acceptable reasons to not vote. But if you can do it, keep in mind that all those people couldn't vote, and so you probably should have done it otherwise. But also, don't think of it. The thing that I think is the big deal is you have to realize that voting, while it's an okay thing to do, it's nowhere close to the end of what your civic engagement could be. You're usually just voting to barely keep, like, people who want to commit mass genocide from getting power, or at least trying to limit their power as much as possible. So, I would say that you very much should vote, but keep in mind that it's not like, I would say, don't get excited about candidates. Don't get too invested in a single candidate. What you should do is vote because it makes sense for at least having a small bit part in what happens and where you live. But in any other case, like, you're going to get more. Your voting and your activism is going to be way more important if you channel it into primaries in the United States and civic engagement and protest. But if you can put down a ballot to prevent, a Nazi from becoming a congressman, do that.
I was frustrated to see that in Indiana, I didn't have anyone to vote against vote for in the primaries against Joe Donnelly. So that was disappointing because Joe Donnelly is a bit of a weak Democrat. Weak, I mean, he's a little conservative, but I guess that's to be expected in Indiana. But more upsetting when I was voting. Now, I don't know what's wrong with Indiana, but I voted absentee, and I submitted my ballot to something like Lake County Elections at hotmail.com.
Hey, Visklosky won.
Oh, well, Visklosky's been in for a long time, so that's good. But did you hear that? Our election ballots went to a Hotmail address. And before that, when I voted in the primaries, it was actually a Yahoo address. And then we got an email before the general election saying they changed to Hotmail. So, That's concerning to me. Why is that how voting works in Indiana?
Yeah. Oh, so Emperor Alexander's asking if I will definitely do a Canadian federal. The Canadian federal election is next October, and I'll probably do that one. Because it's going to be the first Canadian election since like all of this like fascism thing started to take off. So definitely a thing I want to do. Because it's going to be one fucking weird election. Did you say it was hotmail.gov?
No, it was hotmail.com.
Oh,
Hotmail.gov would be weirder, but yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling every time I interact with the office that it's like one lady that works in the office and runs this Hotmail account, and that's like the whole voting for Lake County.
All right, who are these fucking people in like? Look, downtown. This is Chicago, I'm guessing, but look at these races in downtown Chicago.
That looks like it's that looks like it's some of the suburbs.
Oh.
Well, no, that still could be downtown. That is weird though. There's some sections going red in Chicago area.
All right, keep talking. I'm gonna check out New York City.
Keep talking. Well, when you tell me to talk, I can't talk.
I'm trying to find New York 14. There we go. Crowley. Oh yeah, I forgot. Did you hear about this? So, the riding where Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez ran, there was some weird, funky shenanigans went where some random party ran Crowley, the person she beat, as a third-party candidate, and basically said, even Crowley has said, please don't vote for me. I mean, he could take himself off the ballot if he wanted to, but he didn't. And he doesn't even live in the district anymore.
Jeez.
It's super shitty.
America's gonna swing to, or Indiana's gonna swing to America Online. It's true.
Oh man.
Next time I'm gonna have to put my vote on one of those CDs and mail it to them.
So someone's asking about Bernier's new party. So the Canadian election coming up next year, right-wing nationalism is going to be more of a thing. There's a couple things that have changed in the political landscape that are going to be huge. For one, between the 2015 and the 2019 election, Justin Trudeau has lost a lot of his public good. Like, he basically got elected and did the opposite of everything he said he was going to do when he got elected.
Well, I mean, your hair can only take you so far.
Second of all, he got when he was elected, he was the youngest person of the major parties running for prime minister, and now he's going to be the oldest. And so both of the other parties have a new leader, one of which is Jagmeet Singh, which he's going to be leading the NDP, and Jagmeet Singh, because of how racist Quebec is, might have issues with the NDP in Quebec. Someone said you're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
So there's that, but also the Conservatives elected a guy named Andrew Scheer, who is, I think, he's the first like social conservative leader of a major Canadian political party since like the 90s. And
really?
Everybody's like super surprised that there's because like in Canada, being socially conservative is kind of like frowned upon.
Well, I was having a conversation with a colleague today about the federal election, and we were talking about how the world is all these strong men, Trump and Putin and Erdogan and MSB, is that his name, in Saudi Arabia, and how Andrew Scheer does not seem like the kind of guy to sort of go up against all those leaders. He doesn't really seem like the right choice for the Conservative Party in Canada. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Are the Liberals neoliberal? Yes, they very much are. The thing, though, is that Maxime Bernier, who is a former Conservative who ran for leader of the party, lost to Andrew Scheer and broke off to start basically a new sort of alt-right political party. But Maxime Bernier's party is it's got one member in Congress, Maxime Bernier, and they would have to develop. It happened this year, so you'd have to develop an entire new political party and get like the infrastructure and everything like that, and to get going for next year. And he won't even be in the debates or anything. So, there's that. All right, so 538 says the Democrats are up to 2/3 odds on the House, but but 1 in 15 on the Senate. It was 50-50 for a bit.
Oh, okay, good. Are we pleased with JT?
No.
We would say no. No. I mean, we're pleased that it's not Stephen Harper. I think. I am. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, Justin Trudeau is almost identical to Stephen Harper in every meaningful way. And in some ways, I kind of would prefer a right-wing conservative who says they're a right-wing conservative than a right-wing conservative who says that he's progressive.
I will say that on election night, I did cry tears of happiness when Trudeau won, because I moved to Canada in 2011. So the only Canada I had known was Stephen Harper's Canada, and it was not the greatest of places. All of the things that people think make Canada great, he was very much eroding. So seeing even a Liberal, although not necessarily my first choice, seeing him win was huge for me. So.
What happened to Quebec debut? I don't know what that is. But yeah, Justin Trudeau is Trudeau. He got elected saying that he was going to do electoral reform that we were going to get first past the post getting rid of. He ignored, or he basically said psych. He has not. He said he was going to put a whole bunch of money in infrastructure that's still up in the air. He legalized cannabis. Kind of.
Yeah, we could go smoke our legal weed after this.
He barely decriminalized cannabis. There's still so many exceptions and rules on that it's okay. The line at my work at the CCLA is that he didn't so much legalize cannabis as he recriminalized it in new ways. Because there's so many contexts in which you can't do it. The other thing too is that Justin Trudeau has been so in just like Stephen Harper, so in the pocket of oil companies. Canada has oil and building. He has been totally on board for building pipelines that run through Indigenous sovereign territory between Alberta and British Columbia. You know how you guys had the Keystone XL pipeline? We've had 3 of those. I haven't heard anything about Quebec debut. I'm sorry, D-Cook. I'm sure it's not super important. There's nobody.
Jeez.
Well, there's nobody in Parliament. I've never heard of it. I feel like if they had anything they'd go with, Quebec nationalism is kind of dead. Christian, do you think Trump's dominance of Republicans will strengthen? I mean, I think it already has strengthened through this election, because in the Republican primary process for this election that we're covering right now, there has been this thing where all of the never Trumper conservatives have all lost to a used car salesman with 15 DUIs who got support from Trump. So I think that a lot of Republicans know that the fascist base is where you have to appeal. The Bloc Québécois party. So the Bloc Québécois party is in a lot of trouble right now. The Bloc Québécois, in 2015, they got busted down to 10 seats. Then they had a party insurrection because there's a lot of people who don't like the current leader of the Bloc Québécois, and 7 members of the Bloc Québécois left. 7 MPs left, and they were independent for a while. They then came back. But yeah, the Bloc Québécois is a mess. I don't expect it to exist in a few, maybe even next election. Quebec nationalism, I think, is pretty much on its last legs. Because also the Bloc Québécois, or the Parti Québécois, in the Quebec election that happened in October also did not go well.
Beto's back in the lead.
Beto's in the lead. Oh man, I would be so happy to see Beto lose. The other one we have to look at too is what's it called? Where is it? Who's Scott Walker? Wisconsin, right?
Wisconsin. He was the governor, though. Is that what you're talking about?
You have to look at the governor race for Wisconsin, because I want Scott Walker to lose in Wisconsin. Those are the ones I'm looking at. those are the two that like I just like in my heart would want to see happen. I want to see Beto O'Rourke win the Senate and watch Ted Cruz's fucking weird alien face have to do a concession speech, and I want to watch Scott Walker, the like walking bag of semen, lose an election.
Ew, what? So tell me that you all have seen that website about Ted Cruz being a person.
Oh, I think like nobody's seen that. It's just like a thing that I love.
Oh, well, everyone needs to see it. We're gonna show it to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a website that I came across during the election when Ted Cruz was running for leader of the Republicans, and it might be my favorite website
look
ever.
At his face. 100% human candidate.
It's tedcruzforhumanpresident.com, and it's one of my favorite websites.
Are you screen sharing with them? Or no? You're not going to show them?
I put the link in the chat.
Oh, okay. Guys, check it out. It's the funniest thing.
Seltzer talk reference. Actually, we got a soda stream over the weekend, so now we can make our own seltzer.
Yeah.
1 through 8 says that they just remembered they had a friend who liked my channel. Well, thank you. You should check it out. Or they should check it out. Thank you so much. Word of mouth. Word of mouth is huge. Step Back is built on word of mouth because I get a lot of demonetized videos and YouTube does not recommend me, and I grow very steady but very slow. So
and Reddit hates him.
And Reddit hates me.
Except
Nobody
for
posts
a few tiny places.
outside of BreadTube. Like my stuff doesn't get posted anywhere.
Guys,
on Reddit.
the biggest thing you could do for the channel, even beyond giving to Patreon, beyond anything, is share videos on Reddit. They got mad at me because I posted them too many times, and you know how Reddit doesn't like that. So I can't post them anymore.
No.
But Reddit's huge for growth, even though they tend to hate everything you do.
Yeah. So Reddit's a place where I struggle, and so yeah, posting my stuff on Reddit would be awesome.
I have seen many people, and Ted Cruz is one of them.
Oh,
First name, last name. I love that.
My favorite name on that whole page is Guy Manderson, where I think his like line is like, Ted Cruz is definitely one person and not several. It's like, yes. And that his main policy is he wants to shut down all telescopes for no reason.
Reddit hates Tristan because he's too left.
Yeah.
And much of mainstream Reddit, if that's a thing, is not left.
And yes, very much confirmed Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer.
Also, I have this problem where I always thought Ted Cruz kind of was weird and looked weird, but now every time I think about him, I have to think about that stupid queso thing because Tristan's always like, oh.
The queso, it dribbled down my chin, you know, mess with the whole family. It's like, blah,
and
blah.
now all I can think of is queso dribbling down his chin, and it really grosses me out. So thank you, Tristan.
You know what grosses me out more?
What?
I know two girls that I just adore. All right, story behind that 2016 election. Anybody who's too young for the 2016 election, there might be somebody in there. There was a
Carly Fiorina.
Carly Fiorina ran for leadership of the Republicans, ran for president. She lost really early, but then in like a last ditch effort to try and beat Trump for the thing, he announced his running mate before he had even clinched the nomination.
Which is unprecedented and ridiculous.
And it's not even a thing you can do because the president and the vice presidential candidate are both chosen at the convention separately. But on top of that, Carly Fiorina's announcement of that involved her singing a song that she sings to Ted Cruz's 2 children that he purchased off of Craigslist.
Yeah, you gotta find a video of that. I think, was that the same speech or debate or whatever where, was it her or was it Ted Cruz's wife who fell off the stage?
Oh my god. Ted Cruz.
Oh, he pushed his wife.
He pushed his wife.
Or he elbowed her in the face.
He accidentally elbowed her, that was it.
Oh my god, it was like a clown show.
The other thing too, this is just something I remembered. Scott Walker, I found out today, eats a ham sandwich, 2 ham sandwiches a day, and has been eating 2 ham sandwiches a day for 26 years almost straight.
What?
Yeah. His lunch every single day is a ham sandwich.
I bet his wife packs it for him.
Probably. And that they also have a ham every Sunday after church.
What?
So, that's too much ham.
That's too much ham. I love pork. Pork is probably my favorite meat, but ham is the least good of the porks in my opinion. I don't know. Controversial opinion, maybe, but...
Jack Oates is watching us on TV because that's apparently quicker to load over Wi-Fi. Hey, whatever works.
No, my face is probably so big. I don't like this. How do you do this all the time, so many times a week?
I don't know.
My saving grace is that I don't have to listen to myself.
Two ham sandwiches every day. And Scott Walker. I'm stealing Chapo's jokes here, but Scott Walker tried to run for president, and it was such a disaster that he was such a disaster that Trump didn't even think of a nickname for him. Like, he didn't even last that long.
I like this. They're saying hot ham takes.
Hot ham takes.
That's what I did.
Yeah.
My first hot take, and it's about ham.
Oh man.
I think the internet suits me.
Ham sandwiches can be pretty good. Two ham sandwiches a day forever. I feel like ham is a lot. Like, if I like lived on my own and had an entire ham, I feel like I'd have issues just eating enough leftovers to finish a whole ham.
Wait, why are you assuming he lives alone?
No, but like, I'm just saying, like, I couldn't even go like 3 days eating the same thing. Like, 3 days eating nothing but ham, I feel like I'd get sick of it.
You can eat the same thing, just not ham.
He's been eating ham for 26 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Do you think Ted Cruz has gone to the bathroom yet? No, not even once. Like, since he was born. Or he did last week, and he's like a sloth, where he climbs down from the tree to go to the bathroom once a week, and then he climbs back up.
Tristan, grab my hand. We are merely exchanging long protein strands.
Oh my god. The DCCC has seems to have issues with how you and your opponent are constantly holding hands.
How would you do it?
We are merely exchanging long protein strands. If you can think of a better way, I'd like to hear it. They had in that episode, they had the best line that I think explains electoral politics so perfectly, which is just like, what's your opinion on the economy or whatever? And it's like, it does not matter which candidate you vote for. Either way, your planet is doomed.
Doomed!
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, because, you know, you're not 30.
Because you're wrong.
Yeah. The Simpsons had a Halloween special in 1996 that was very, very funny, where they talked about the presidential election.
And it becomes more accurate every day.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Also,
basically, Bill Clinton and Bob Dole get abducted by aliens and replaced by body doubles that are also aliens, and their aliens are trying to run for president, and it's so perfect.
Abortions for all. Ooh. Abortions for none. Boo. Abortions for some. Miniature American flags for all. Yay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Also, I want to say thank you, Night Watcher's Pet. Now I have another gross image in my head that I'm not going to be able to get out.
No, D-Quack, they actually do make a Ross Perot joke in that episode, because what happens is in the election, everyone's just like, they're like, when they're exposed to be aliens to the world, they're like, it's like we're not, now that we know you're aliens, we're not going to get you guys to be president. And it's like, it's a two-party system. You have to vote for one of us, and then someone's like, we'll vote third party and you know, get things out of office. It's like, sure, throw your vote away. And then Ross Perot just like is like there, and he just takes off his hat and punches through it. And now, for anybody who isn't following an election that's almost 30 years old, Ross Perot in 1992 ran for president when it was George H.W. Bush versus Bill Clinton, and he was a independent billionaire who tried to run for president and stole enough votes away, or like leaked enough right-wing votes away from George Bush, that basically Bill Clinton got elected. And that's why George H.W. Bush was a one-term president. Probably. Scalendro Man is up at 2 a.m. in the UK. I have no idea why you're doing that. But yeah, that was in 1992, which I realized happened when I was 3 years old.
Youngin'.
Or almost 4. I've lived in Texas my whole life, and I barely know anything about Cruz.
I've never seen footage of him anywhere.
I mean, it could be... Davis, I almost think that you shouldn't look him up. I think that your brain is better not having seen his face. His face is wrong. I don't know. There's no other way to explain it. It's wrong. Like, you know how, like, H.P. Lovecraft writes about alien, like, weird creatures that just to gaze your eyes upon them will drive you mad? That's sort of like what, like, non-Euclidean geometry, like, that's what...
His face is definitely melting. You are correct. Yeah.
Do you remember the woman who was like on Maury Povich or whatever who looked exactly like Ted Cruz? And then
she really? Are you sure somebody didn't Photoshop
No,
that?
and then somebody tried to pay her to do porn.
Oh. So many images. Why are you doing this to me, all of you?
He looks like a melted cement. He looks like the blobfish. If you look up the blobfish, like that droopy, sad fish.
$20 says he tries to run again in 2020.
Ted Cruz?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz!
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? He's
he
not
wouldn't
done.
Be stopped by an incumbent.
So Ted Cruz was brought in. Ted Cruz entered politics as part of the Freedom Caucus. He's basically the leader of the Freedom Caucus. And, like, with the, what's it called? With the Tea Party movement. He was basically, like, really big on that. Somebody just posted a whole bunch of, like...
I know.
That's, like, what's it called? That's, Cthulhu talk.
I'm concerned about this person that said he's like your child.
Come on, that's really mean.
You're
Ted
not talking
Cruz...
about us, are you?
I hope not.
Me too.
Ted Cruz is an old Justin Trudeau. No, Ted Cruz is a Justin Trudeau that, like, had acid sprayed in his face. Like, he's like a melted Justin Trudeau. Like, it's not that Ted Cruz is old. He's wrong. His visage does not belong in this universe. It is an unnatural freaking, like...
He does look a lot like that blobfish.
It is an unnatural abomination to this plane of existence.
Looks like maybe he should live in the bottom of Mariana's Trench.
If Ted Cruz was a D&D monster, he'd be an aberration.
Who do you think will become governor of Tennessee? I don't even know who's running.
Governor of Tennessee? Well, let's take a looky-loo. Right now, it's projected that Lee is going to win. So the Republicans are going to win in Tennessee. Kel Surprise. Although I think that was a race people were watching.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Ted Cruz looks like a copy of a copy of a copy of a person.
It's true. Like, I think that's why that website is so good, is because Ted Cruz looks like an alien trying its best to look like a human.
Yeah. It's like, it's very similar. We just watched The Room. So, it's the first time I'd ever seen that movie. And I don't know how many of you have seen that, but we were just discussing how, where did you get that from? It was a quote from someone that The Room is like, Tommy Wiseau looked like an alien who knew something about movies, but...
An alien that watched, like, 2 movies and then decided that it knew... Like, tried to make a movie. Like, The Room looks like what would happen if you made, like, a machine learning algorithm tried to make a movie. By, like, inserting 2 movies into it. So Ted Cruz, there's a Ted Cruz picture.
Oh, guys, stop it. I don't want to see Ted Cruz.
He's so wrong.
Oh, hi, Tristan.
Oh, hi. Oh, hi, Habaru-san. It sounded more like a shitty Japanese accent. Oh, hi.
Oh, man. We went to one of those midnight screenings. It's the first time I'd ever done that. It was awesome. We threw so many spoons. Mm-hmm. If you haven't done that, highly recommend. Good times.
Oh, man. Beto is so close. Beto's ahead. Barely.
It's Beto.
Whatever. I'm Beto testing it.
God, that was bad.
If the Republican Party was a rock band, Ted Cruz would be the tuba player.
I mean, I'm not sure our compound is completely safe from all of this. Especially because we have our own problems in Ontario/Canada, and also all of my family's still in the States.
Yeah, we have our big wet premiere.
Ew. What? Why are we... So many visuals that I don't want.
You know what's another super shitty thing that happened?
What?
In the election? Is that there's no special election in Arizona because some dipshit some dipshit who died of brain cancer decided to just put some stiff Republican in place and not put it up to an election.
R.I.P.
No, fuck that guy.
Okay. I know. I know, he was a mess.
I like the campaign that came up with a person in Arizona who had the exact same type of brain cancer that he had, and, like, whatever. Ted Cruz is losing in Texas. I don't even know. Like, I want to watch the Ted Cruz concession speech so bad.
Turn the Beto around. That's awesome. Turn the Beto around. We sound American? Well, I am American.
She is American. I'm Canadian.
He spends a lot of time with me. I'm sure it's rubbing off.
But like you sound like you have like this like Chicago-y type accent.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Chicago. Windy City. Speaking of, I bought plane tickets today to go to Chicago, and it's a really bad time for holiday season stuff, but are you gonna try to do some kind of meetup in Chicago?
Way ahead of you.
Way ahead of me.
Well, after you bought the tickets, I talked to Peter Coffin.
Oh, okay.
Peter Coffin and I are going to do a fan meetup in Chicago. He did a Twitter poll, so if you go to Peter Coffin's Twitter, you can vote on which one you want to do if you want to go. We're going to choose to either have it on the 22nd, 23rd, or we're going to have it sometime after Christmas, but before New Year's. So
wow,
vote for which of those two you want to do. Ted Cruz's concession speech. Blah, he's just a melt on stage. I would like to see him just like fly off into space. Like, I have to go now, and just.
I can say milk and eggs correctly. I also tried real hard, but I don't say milk. I don't say that, do I?
What?
Milk?
I don't know. Do you?
I don't think so.
Milk.
Milk.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Do you prefer federal or centralized states? Example, Canada's federal government derives power from provinces. New Zealand's regions derive power from the central government. I think that... I don't know. New Zealand's smaller. I think it works for smaller countries.
So, Christian wants to know if I'm going to try Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Oh, jeez.
Does that sound like a thing I'm going to do?
You would be so confused. Warcraft 3 is one of those real-time strategy games where you move soldiers around, you build bases and stuff. But on top of that, so not only do you have to manage the economy, because it's Warcraft 3 is different from other real-time strategy games because you also get a hero that you have to go and, like, you have to go around the map and kill monsters and level it up and defeat the enemy.
What?
Yeah, Warcraft 3 was...
Sounds like a lot of things. Also, I'm not much of a gamer, although I did really get into CK2 because of him. And I really got into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I occasionally do a little bit of gaming, but not very much.
Milk does come in bags in Canada, and it's better for it.
No, it's super dumb. It's really a dumb thing. You have to have a special milk pitcher to put your milk in.
But
so
look how little waste it makes.
Yeah, it's dumb though. It doesn't make any sense. And you have to cut the milk. It's just in this sealed bag, and you have to. Your milk pitcher comes with this little cut thing, and you have to cut it just right. Otherwise, when you pour it, the milk just goes everywhere. It's super dumb. But you can get it in cartons. You can't get it in gallon jugs, but you can get it in cartons.
Kelly, there's 122 people in here right now.
I know, and there was 149 at one point.
Jeez.
We lost some.
It's probably the Ted Cruz talk.
Ew. Ew.
Let's see how things are going. Let's take a look at the race. So the Republicans are a little bit ahead for the race for the House right now, but that's because a lot of like New York City hasn't really come in fully yet.
Do you open the milk with a knife? Well, no, there's this little it's like this tiny little thing, and it's got like a little sideways blade that you just like snip off the.
Or you can use scissors.
Or scissors. Yeah.
It's
you could use a knife. I feel like that could be bad. Though.
It like they're making it sound sillier than it is.
No, it's really silly.
It's simple. It creates very little waste.
A tiny bit of me wants to go down to the grocery store and buy one to show you, but I'm not going to do that.
I think bag mile is only in Ontario and Quebec, and the rest it's normal.
I think you are correct. I think that the rest of Canada does not have
milk in a bag makes a lot of sense.
No. And then you buy the bags, in a bag. So if you buy 3 liters of milk, all these liter bags come in this bigger bag. It's really weird.
Whatever. Yeah, it makes sense.
It doesn't.
Oh, man.
We don't buy milk that often, though.
No?
I prefer milk from almonds.
That's true. Yeah, milk's not really a thing we buy much. Or like,
that's a lot of red on that map.
we buy milk for purposes. You know it's because the red districts are bigger.
I know.
Like how South Dakota just gets one house.
That's it?
Yeah, so same with North Dakota.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, like in New York, you have like seats for like a 10-block area. Actually, let's take a look.
Oh, apparently you can buy gallons of milk at Walmart. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you can still buy milk cartons in Canada. Actually, like where we live, like if you live in like the inner city, like bodegas and stuff like that are gonna sell cartons of milk. They're not gonna sell bagged milk.
Ooh, there's a Muslim congresswoman in
Check New
Michigan?
York State. All right, so Kristen Gillibrand is still going to be senator of New York. The House, nothing's come in yet for New York. There's a few in New York City, and it looks all Democrat. That's like not a surprise. Governor of New York, Cuomo, looks like he's going to win huge. Although if I lived in New York, I think I would do a write-in for Cynthia Nixon. Senate's almost completely called now. It's almost going to be... it's looking pretty close.
What's that?
Mandy messaging you. She does not look happy.
Oh, is that sad? Oh.
It's a bunch of angry faces.
Which of the things are we angry about? Did something happen?
Probably about Missouri going all red.
Oh, that's that... Who's that governor that's like a mess?
All of them?
No, that one... No, the Missouri one, though.
There's no governor race in Missouri.
No? Oh.
Yeah. This is why Canadians cross the border into Washington to buy milk every weekend. No, it's because there's no taxes on food in America, and so it's cheaper. Gary Johnson doesn't look like he's going to win Senator of New Mexico.
No. We loved him.
Independent Gary Johnson was running for Senator of New Mexico.
Not independent. Libertarian.
Libertarian, sorry. Kansas may go blue. I'm seeing all red. Except, like, there's, like, 2 seats here around Kansas City that are blue. Oh, yeah. Oh, you like this. Governor Kelly in Kansas.
That's me. What? No, that's not me. I lost the chat. Where'd the chat go?
I don't know.
Where'd it go?
Kelly's talking to one of her friends in America who's like having issues with
all the red in the election.
America. Oh, it always looks like that.
I do not know how to stay in frame. How do you always make sure you're in frame?
This reminds me. I had the 2012 election. I was watching with a friend of mine, and it was her first election ever. This is Nicole. Mm-hmm. And it was her first election. We had like an election watching party, and she did not know. So the presidential election was going on, and she didn't know that it always looks like the Republicans are going to win until the West Coast closes. And so she was like crying because she was also drunk. But I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, California is going to close, and it's going to come in with like a bajillion votes. Is Bernier a secret Nazi? I don't know if there's too much secret about it. Gary Johnson running for senator.
I like how somebody in the chat said, "What's Aleppo?" Which is not the quote, but still even more funny.
What is Aleppo?
What's Aleppo?
Donde está Aleppo? Oh.
Oh, what?
Looks like with
it's
90% of the votes in. Looks like it's not called yet, but because it just came in. But it looks like looks like Ocasio-Cortez might be ahead as much as 90%, which, you know, remember how freaking Donut Twitter was all like, centrist or progressive Democrats aren't going to win, and like here, no.
Big Seltzer, why are you Googling? Why aren't you on, like, some election results? We're on CNN, but New York Times has some. Basically, everybody has results.
Yeah, there's a whole, like, you pick your poison. I'm just following along random things.
West Virginia is Democratic? Is that true?
West Virginia? Yes, West Virginia is leading Democratic.
Oh, all right.
But it's the incumbent. It's Manchin.
Oh, Joe Manchin. Oh, specific candidates.
Oh yeah, that can be a pain in the ass. I forgot that there's some countries or there's some people here where this is their country and they want to look up like where things are going in their hometown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things aren't looking, again, like, this is the thing, is the Democrats, it's not looking so good right now for them in the House. It's neck and neck, but Detroit still hasn't come in. Looks like Chicago still has one more thing to go, and all of California hasn't been done yet, and also all of the Southwest. So, like, right now, the Republicans are slightly ahead, but there are a lot of Democratic-leaning states to go pretty soon. Like, none of California is in, none of Oregon is in, none of Washington is in. Even most of New York State, even most of New York City is not even in yet, so...
Well, somebody just said that polls just closed in New York.
Yeah.
Were they open until 9? That makes sense.
Looks like Cruz is also poking ahead in Texas.
Tristan, would you do a collaboration with Natalie W?
Who's Natalie W? Natalie Wynn? You mean like ContraPoints? ContraPoints and I are like friends, so... But she doesn't really do a whole lot of collaborations. We did a subscriber appreciation day, which you can find. So if you want to watch a 2-hour stream with the two of us, that already exists. But she, I would love to have her do a voiceover for I'd love to either have her do a voiceover in one of my videos or to be a voiceover in one of her videos. But, she's, sometimes... not hard to work with. That has a certain connotation. But like, if you send her a message, it might take a while for her to get back to you. Even though we're like friends on Facebook and stuff.
Check out this question by Papa Hagrid.
What's up, Papa Hagrid? Love all your videos on the channel. I'm going into my master's program now in history, so... Huge your inspiration for paper topics. Any plans for North Carolina?
If I remember correctly, one of your videos was on North Carolina, wasn't it? Or was that South Carolina?
I know I was doing West Virginia because I was going to do the Coal Wars.
No, I'm talking about the eugenics video.
Oh, that's already been made.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that exists.
Yeah,
my
video on
right?
scientific racism talks about the North Carolina the eugenics program in North Carolina. I've been to North Carolina before, though. Will you do a collaboration with Tukey History? I don't really know Tukey History. Like, I know of the channel, but I'm not, like, friends with the creator. Like, I tend to work with people who I know and I'm friends with. And so, I have collaborations coming out in that sense. But Papa Hagrid, it's super... I'm really happy that you're going into a master's program in history. I'm happy that, as long as it's something that you're happy doing, I'm super glad that something that I did at least helped push you in that direction.
Anarcho says, Kelly, was it Was it hard to switch to an incorrect measurement system? Well, luckily, most of the time, I don't do a lot of measuring, so I haven't had to do that much switching. Mostly, it was just the Celsius thing, and after 7 years, I've adapted. But we do height and weight in pounds and feet and inches here, just like we do in the States. And other than that, I still pretty much use imperial for most stuff, I'd say.
Yeah, Canada's a weird mix of all of those measurement systems. Like, for me, I know feet and inches better for, like, people's height, but, like, I couldn't tell you a temperature in Fahrenheit to save my ass. I never learned it.
And he makes the same joke every time. Every time we're in America and someone's like, oh, it's 30. It's 32 out. And he's like, that hot? Really? Every time. Tristan, if you can't tell from the videos and live streams, Tristan is like the king of dad jokes.
Mm-hmm.
He really is.
Emperor Alexander. Cody said recently on Twitter to vote for vote like for his side. What do you mean by his side? Like Republicans? Yeah. I'm not gonna drag any YouTube drama out there, but yeah, I kind of got at my wit's end about Cody as well. When you first heard Cuomo was running, you thought it was Rivers Cuomo. Sadly enough, Cuomo is like winning, but like Cuomo. See, that was an example. The governor race, the race for governor of New York, that was a fight that should have been won in the primaries because Cynthia Nixon ran for governor of New York in the Democratic primaries. But, you know, the right wing of the Democratic Party and Donut Twitter all came together to like destroy her campaign, and so she didn't win. But it would have been huge if Cynthia Nixon was going to be. I love like the same people who in the 2015-2016 election were saying that all of the people voting for Bernie Sanders were all sexist, racist, like Bernie bros. Then those same people come in 2018 were like trying to bash this like queer woman running for the governorship race in New York to back a like rich white dude. And it's like, oh right. This was a completely empty thing that you were doing. Oh, God. I hate Donut Twitter so much.
That's not a thing.
Sunflower Socialist. Donut Twitter. Donut Twitter is, it is basically centrist Democrats who have Twitter accounts.
None of these Twitter things are a real thing, I don't think.
It's true, no. Donut Twitter is a real thing.
I think you make this stuff up.
No.
See, the thing is, if you don't go on Twitter, then Twitter drama isn't really real.
But, like, there are, like, it's the people who work it. Unfortunately, there's, like, 20 people who are, like, who really loved Hillary Clinton and were, like, really into, like, the centrist Democrat line. And all of them have media jobs. And all of them work for, or they're Democratic,
They're the
people.
lanyards, right?
Yeah, they're lanyards.
They're like me, but for America.
Yes. But, like, if you think about, like, how many people are, like,
Why is it called Donut Twitter? I think you told me once, but I don't remember.
It's a story from about, I think, a year or so ago. So, basically, there was, after the Democratic primaries were over, they decided they were going to have a whole bunch of meetings to figure out how they could change the primary process to make it less of a shit show like it was in 2015, 2016. Mm-hmm. And so they were having a bunch of meetings with the progressive wing of the Democratic Party to see like what they could do to make them happier, to get them like, you know, to get them, basically this was supposed to be an olive branch to get them in line so that they would campaign for Hillary Clinton. Mm-hmm. And they did this, they had all these meetings, and one of the things they did is like, they made a bunch of progressive people wait for a long time, like at a meeting, like for them to show up. Like hours and hours and hours. Okay. And it was supposed to be a breakfast meeting and there was no food. There was just someone supposed to buy donuts or something.
Okay.
So somebody in that meeting of the Progressive Caucus, like, you know, complained on Twitter about it. It was like, we were like, look, this is supposed to be like this meeting where we're supposed to have donuts and talk about this thing, but like the Democrats aren't coming to the table. Like, this is bullshit. And the Democrats twisted this to say that they were complaining that they weren't getting donuts. And then they used donut emojis because they thought that I was like a sick burn on the left. And they would put like donut emojis in their Twitter handles and stuff like that. And it's like, it was the dumbest thing ever. So
donuts are delicious.
yeah,
I wish I was eating donuts.
when
right
you
now.
learn about, when you get into weird Twitter politics, everything gets weird, because then it's about what emojis you put in your name, because there's Rose Twitter,
That's
there's Donut Twitter,
dumb. It's
there's
dumb.
there's my favorite, Corn Cob Twitter. Hello, Corn Cob friends. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Reminds me of Hank Green. I love his content, but his uncritical views of capitalism bug him. Yeah. I had a conversation with him once where he said that he was the most capitalist communist he's ever met. And I was just like, okay, that was the thing you said.
What's going on here?
Let's take a look at the race. How's the race going? All right. Doesn't look like the Senate maps changed quite a bit. Oh! Wait, no, that's was the Senate. No, Scott Walker looks like Scott Walker is moving ahead in Wisconsin. Let's look at Texas though. Holy shit!
What?
O'Rourke and Cruz are both at 49.7%,
Damn.
and that is with 58% of the votes in.
Wow.
Let's take a look at New York. Let's the other race I care about is Ocasio-Cortez. Let's see how she's doing. 14th district. Okay, so it looks like Ocasio-Cortez has 79% of the popular vote. Ocasio-Cortez is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. She's a big deal because she's a DSA candidate who's running for the House. So that's nice. Yeah, New Jersey is red. Did you hear about this? So like New Jersey's, Menendez is the incumbent, who is the Democrat who's losing.
No, I haven't heard about him.
Menendez apparently sucks. Menendez apparently so the way that it works is that New Jersey has a very powerful party system. All right, a lot of states, especially like New Jersey, that have been Democrat for long periods of time or have like lots of Democratic governments, have really big party machines. The Democrats in New Jersey are super duper corrupt. And they're really, really it's really like an insider's club. Like, it's really hard to make any choices. So they got this, I think his name is Bob Menendez.
Oh, okay.
And he's running for, I think, Menendez is the last name anyway. And New Jersey is, the New Jersey Democrats are running this guy who has on his record fairly credible claims that he solicited child prostitutes or underage prostitutes. So, like, the Republicans have had like the easiest of stuff to attack him with. Like it's like not even a surprise.
Huh.
But like it's because the Democratic Party in New Jersey was so shit at even attempting to get a good candidate. Looks like Donnelly's losing by like double digits now.
Yeah.
Who's this third party Brenton character?
I don't know why.
I don't know. They got 4%. But yeah, New Jersey's Democratic Party is really, really corrupt. I mean, look at what's his name, the other big wet governor of New Jersey. What the hell's his name?
I keep saying that.
I don't know. It's good. It's
I don't
perfect.
like it. No, I don't like it.
What was his name? Chris Christie. Chris Christie was corrupt as fuck too. New Jersey politics are so shitty. Like New Jersey is like the most corrupt state, I think, in the union.
By wet, do you mean like sweaty? Like, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
okay. All right. This is Chapo Trap House shit.
I know, but it's gross.
Like when you say like you're big wet, like it's like it's when you have a like leader who's like a big fat white sweaty shitty person. Like it started with Trump. Trump is like America's big wet president.
I don't like it.
I
really don't like it.
But like, see the thing is like the Democrats need to just like have things to get people to vote for. New Jersey just swung blue in that Senate race, by the way. But like the thing is like there's power when you actually run on things that people want. The best story I ever heard is there's a guy whose grandmother, right, 90-year-old grandmother, very conservative, very right wing, like very like bigoted, everything, never votes anything but Democrat. Why? Because she was alive in the 1930s, and she can thank her being alive and her like having basic things because of freaking FDR and Social Security.
Yeah.
And if Democrats like campaign on these things and actually like pushed through like actual progressive programs, not like the like what's it called, the AHA, or what's it called, ACA,
Affordable Care Act?
yeah, not things that like that are like, you know, bullshit like that, but like they put in like a, you know, US NHS,
Kind of.
the US National Healthcare Service or something like that, that would like that being in place, all the people whose lives would be literally saved by that would vote Democrat till the day they died. And yes, Texas is swinging in O'Rourke's favor again.
So 2 comments. First of all, Ben, I agree that Big Wet just sounds like a way to fat shame people. And also, this Joey person wants to make that joke about you being that guy from Toy Story again. So there's that.
That's okay. Show us your Cheeto fingers. Ah. I think though that like, because like it speaks to a lot of like Chapo jokes. Like the other thing is like it means more than just like the physical description. Like another Chapo joke that comes up a lot is large suns or round suns. And what they are is it's a term for politicians who have adult children who get political positions and get all these things despite being super incompetent.
So why round suns?
I think it comes from oh, what the fuck's his name? What's it called? The press secretary's dad.
Oh, Huckabee.
Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee.
Yeah, Huckabee like had a whole thing where like he had like, aside from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, he has like three adult sons, and they're all they look exactly the same. They're all very like 3 large sons, and they're all like in politics just like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and they're all like complete idiots, and they're super incompetent, and one of them murdered a dog.
Yeah, Big Seltzer, smarmy is such a good word. It's a good word for people like Ted Cruz. Just like really car salesman-y. Just like smarmy. Yeah. Good.
Other good descriptive words for Ted Cruz would be eldritch.
Like what?
An eldritch horror.
I think it meant like the night. We were talking D&D here.
No, like an eldritch horror. A dark abomination from the space beyond space. Abomination's a good one. Aberration. Glitch in the Matrix.
Jeez. Nepotism in politics. I'm shocked.
Yes.
Shocked, I say.
So Terry, like, this is like, I'm explaining like Chapo vernacular here. Like, large sons is a term for like adult children of high profile politicians who have jobs and they're completely incompetent. Like Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is a large son.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is fat shaming, but also, I think that it, like the whole like big wet boy president thing, I think it speaks to like this whole like idea of like the smarmy, gross, like, you know, freaking like Harvey Weinstein type person. What's this Chapo you keep speaking of? It's a podcast. It's a leftist comedy podcast. It's a leftist comedy podcast that's made up of a bunch of people from weird Twitter, and so
again, not a real thing.
It's a leftist comedy podcast made up of people from weird Twitter, and it's very funny, but like it's been going long enough that it has like a bunch of unique, weird, like it has a lot of its own vernacular. Yes, someone just pointed out Maine just elected or it looks like Maine is electing an independent senator as well. So we have 2 independent senators. Does anyone know anything about King in Maine? Is there any Maine people? Which YouTuber would you consider so far left that they are basically communist? Me.
I was gonna say you.
Me. I would say the most communist YouTuber in my mind is Peter Coffin. I think Peter Coffin would like that. Peter Coffin's channel is almost entirely about Marxist analysis of things. It's good. Yeah, Ben Lash, I guess you do make sense. Is this Steve King? I didn't think this isn't Steve King, is it?
I don't know.
Because Steve King is a Republican. It's not Steve King in Maine, is it? It's a pretty common last name.
Jabba the Christie.
Okay, it's
That's good.
Angus King. So this is the person who's running for who looks like they might be senator. So American politician serving as the junior senator from. Oh, he's the incumbent.
That's quite a mustache.
Yeah, so King has a massive mustache. He's an independent. He's been independent since '93, and he is the governor of Maine. Oh, this is the governor races, or this is the Senate. Wait, is this what? Okay.
You're getting very confused.
Yes. Okay. He is the governor of Maine until 2003, but he won Maine's 2012 Senate election to replace retiring Republican Olympia Snow, and took office in 2013. So running again it's a senator. He is one of 2 independents serving in the Senate. All right. The mustache. Bad Mouse is super communist, yeah.
Speaking of mustaches, aren't you supposed to have a mustache now?
I decided against it.
Why?
Because the last time I had a mustache, everybody thought I looked super gross, so I didn't want to.
I mean, you probably will, but I think
yeah, Richard Wolff is definitely a communist. He's also like a Marxist economist, but I think of him more as a podcaster than a YouTuber. Would you consider Andrew Scheer to be secretly a white nationalist, or do you think he's different from other conservatives? I think of him more like a Ted Cruz-y type character. Like he's just really weirdly Christian and bigoted in his own sense. But like the white nationalism stuff hasn't really come to Canada's politics in a big way yet, outside of like Maxime Bernier and like some movements in Quebec. So like it's gonna become a thing soon. Mostly because the last time we had a federal election was in 2015, before all this stuff really started taking off.
Yeah, the House says 6770 on my New York Times app.
7681 on.
It's still pretty close.
Yeah, Minnesota's starting to come in. So
according to this, it's +2 for Democrats, -2 for Republicans.
Can somebody in the chat check what the odds at 538's given now? That would be probably good to see. Look at all that. I just want to see if they've called the race for Cortez, Ocasio-Cortez yet. That would make my night. I would love to see her in Congress.
So I don't know what the deal is here, but this person says they support quasi-fascist, non-racist movements. So I don't know about these movements that you're talking about, but I probably disagree.
I also support large small things. And black-white objects and up-down directions.
What website are we using? Tristan's got CNN open. I'm also looking at New York Times on my phone.
Like, fascism and racism are basically like you can't have one without the other. So Ocasio-Cortez is projected to win New York's 14th House. Yeah.
Woo.
You like her?
Yeah.
Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman for New York's 14th District. Anybody in Brooklyn who got to vote for her, congratulations. I'm not following the CNN channel. I'm just using their like interactive maps to follow the race, because it's just a map of America that updates as stuff comes in.
We do have ABC is on a TV in the other room, and if I look over, they just have some sort of spinning thing. So I don't know. They're doing some sort of pole, like.
Oh, I
gauge.
thought you meant like it was like buffering.
No, not buffering. But I just look over and it was like woo.
Yeah. Texas. Tejas. Well, O'Rourke's ahead again. That's good news.
Was Francisco Franco noticeably racist or noticeably fascist?
Oh
wait, they said racist.
Racist? I am not an expert on Spanish history. I would not know.
Yes. Wheel of Election! Exactly, Terry.
What are your thoughts on the Communist Party of Canada? Communist Party of Canada, I mean, I'm not a huge fan about how they're friggin' Marxist-Leninists. They're tankies. Not a big fan of that. Gotta cut that shit out. I also think that when it comes to electoral politics, voting for the Communist Party of Canada would be a waste of my time. Like, the kinds of parties that I would want to get in, like the kinds of politics I'd like to get involved in and I actually believe in, are not going to happen at the ballot box. Like, running for elections is not how you're going to change things.
Depressing.
So I don't know what the point of the praxis is of running for an election that nobody gives a shit about. One does not vote for a Communist Party. Oh yeah, the fucker just took power.
I like some of London and I like tanks. Does that make me a tanky?
Tankies are people who make excuses for Stalin and say the Soviet Union did nothing wrong and stuff like that.
Why are so many women not interested in women's rights? Well, that's a great question that I don't know the answer to. I think it's because sometimes women don't see what we've gained from the women's rights movements. It's like, a while back there was this whole movement on Twitter and Facebook, or Twitter and YouTube, that was like, why I'm not a feminist, or why I don't need feminism. And I think that people just don't get all that we've gained and how far we've come, is my opinion. I don't know.
And white women.
Also, there's this whole thing where women are like, but men aren't that bad. Like, I have sons, I have brothers, and so, I don't know.
Men are that bad. And also, there's a whole movement of, comfortable, middle-class white women who instantly abandon social justice movements as long as they're doing okay.
Why do Canadians care about the election? I think a lot of people watch it. I think in part a lot of people watch it because it's fun to watch. But I think it also matters a lot because there's a lot of trade with the States. What the States does, sometimes people talk about being Canadian or being in Canada as kind of like being by a sleeping giant. The U.S. is so big and powerful that everything it does, every time it rolls over, it affects Canada. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Also, it's just fun to watch, especially if the stakes are lower for you.
The other thing, too, I would say is, in the case of this house, she is an immigrant from the United States, and I am an expert. I am a person who studies U.S. history. I used to study it professionally. So, that's a thing. Yeah. Mask was it, the quote from Pierre Elliott Trudeau, that dealing with America is like sleeping next to an elephant. Things go well, you just have to hope they never roll over. Like, diplomacy with America is like sleeping next to an elephant.
Touche, Terry. I mean, yeah, the women's rights movement has moved women more into the economic system, which I guess isn't the great place to be. But when that is the system, to have a place at the table is better than not having a place at the table.
And there's also a lot of people who have been suckered into lean-in feminism. This rich white woman, Hillary Clinton, Carly Fiorina feminism. That's
Yeah.
Like, it's basically like, just do terrible things.
Lean in.
And only white women. How's the house going? It's neck and neck.
84, 85. Wow.
That shit's gonna. So next up at 10 o'clock, the mountain states are gonna start coming in. So we've got Montana, Idaho, Utah, and Nevada and Arizona are gonna start coming in. Actually, Nevada is in Pacific time, so they're gonna be a bit later. But Arizona, Utah, Idaho, and Montana. But it's a lot of states, but it's also not a lot of seats. Like Montana and Idaho combined are 3 seats. Utah's going to go all Republican, but Utah still only has like 6 seats. And same like Arizona's going to be a mix. It's going to be like New Mexico here, which New Mexico's kind of half and half. Party was talking about in Indonesia where anti-capitalist. I can't get into Indonesian politics right now.
Yeah, that idea of how the Irish have become white. I'm fascinated by the idea of how whiteness changes over time. I think that's really interesting and very much shows what we were talking about earlier about race being a social construct and how it changes over time.
Yeah, Fionn Volkov has said, like, you've seen this amongst wealthy, white, cis, gay, and lesbian people. And actually, I'm working on this for a video because this is one of the things that comes up, and I'm doing a video. The next Step Back video is going to be on the AIDS crisis for December 1st. And one of the things I've started researching is how LGBTQ activism once the drug cocktails to keep HIV under control if you have money started to become more of a thing, or if you have health insurance started to become a thing. A lot of LGBT groups then stopped campaigning for... Yeah, it's now neck and neck in the House. Stopped campaigning for AIDS rights and then started focusing on gay marriage, which, important issue, but I would argue way less important than, like, AIDS activism. And now you have actually AIDS growing amongst black gay men in the South.
Someone asked what's happening in Florida. Looks pretty red to me, but I don't know.
Florida is, it's being Florida. Let me see here. The 5th district, the 10th district, 9th district, 7th district, 14th, 20th, 21st. Look, it looks like a lot of the southern states where it's all red except for a handful of the cities.
D-Quick says Texas is red again. Is it permanent?
Yeah, it's just leaning red. It's so close right now. It's 0.2%. I feel like Texas is not going to be one we're going to know tonight. My guess.
Hanging chads and all that.
Yeah, that one might. I don't know if it'll be close enough for a recount, but it's not one they're probably going to come to a conclusion to until pretty late in the night.
Is hanging chads a reference that's too old now?
Yeah.
Do we still have chads?
Depending on the state. Most states are now electronic voting, I think. Can we hang chads? Oh, God. Please, I hope that's not like...
We don't want to advocate violence.
I do not want to advocate any violence against anybody named Chad.
I mean, Chad is kind of... There may be a Chad watching, so I don't want to insult them. But Chad...
Yeah. So, in my guess, seems to be coming true, which was my prediction for...
Can we hang Republicans? No. No. Still not advocating violence.
Maybe.
No.
My guess for tonight was that the Democrats will take the House, they won't take the Senate, and... even if they do take the House, it's not going to be by much. Like, it's, in my mind, it's going to be very, it's going to be a, how do I express this? it's going to be depressing. The blue wave is not going to get as big as people think it is.
My sense, though, the thing I kept telling myself all day is the good thing about the Republicans having the presidency and both the houses is it can't really get worse. It can't really get worse than it is.
Scott Walker's behind again.
Excellent. Can we hang open fascists? See, this is where we get into disagreements, Tristan and I. I don't ever really think we should use violence. I'm not saying that he would say hang fascists, but you're being quiet. Softly chew the rich. Oh, God.
Fascism is like a political cancer, and it is the people who follow fascism literally want to kill people. I feel like hanging fascists, I don't think we need to hang fascists, and I think that hanging fascists would be counterproductive to stopping fascism. All it will do is make more fascists. I think that if you wanted to, I think that, like, killing all of the Nazis in the Nuremberg trials didn't accomplish as much as, say, putting them in prison for the rest of their lives would have. I think that stopping them from having a platform to speak and actively stopping them wherever they are will accomplish more than killing them. Killing them will make a lot of people sympathize with them, and will make anybody who knows these people and has a personal stake in their outcome, has like a personal stake in them, hate you, and not because of your ideas, but because of you killed somebody who was, important to them. So in my mind, fascism and like violence and murder are just like, while they might feel good to do, well, it might feel good to just say hang all the fascists, I think that it would in the long term not be a solution.
Somebody said, oh yeah, here. Jared said, nonviolence is the privilege of a bourgeoisie class. And I understand and appreciate that and admit that that's probably true. I think a lot of it is I don't want to have to think about resorting to violence. I don't want to have to stomach it. But somebody said something, and I think this was something that at your meetup maybe that somebody said, or maybe something that some video you showed me. But I heard somewhere the only thing worse than revolution is what led to revolution. And I was like, damn. Like, I get it. The fact that I can be so afraid of violence and so focused on pacifism and compromise is because we're in a privileged position. So I understand that. I don't know what to do about it, but
I have a spicier take than that. I think that these people who say that being anti-violence is privileged and such are being simple and naive. I think that violence is historically shown to be a thing that people do because it is the simplest solution to a problem. They do it because they think it feels good, but it has been shown over and over again to do nothing to actually end cycles of oppression. It leads to a new cycle of oppression. It leads to either, like, for example, the Soviet Union. Leftist ideals led to a revolution, and in the chaos of the revolution, the most violent, megalomaniacal, and brutal people rose to the top, because those are the people who rise to the top in a violent revolution. They became in charge. They then violently put down any and all resistance to them, killing basically all dissent. Then, on top of that, they then spread their wonderful Marxist message to Poland and Finland, well, not Finland as much, and Lithuania and Estonia and Latvia and Ukraine and Hungary, all countries that now today, because of the wonderful legacy of the Soviet Union, because of the brutal oppression that they and their family members have directly experienced, hate leftist ideas. They hate communism because of a brutal personal experience that they had to put up with. And so, instead, they're becoming fascists because of the legacy of the Soviet attacks on them. And like I said, I think that while violence might be the necessary thing for self-defense in a short-term solution, it is as a long-term solution to your political problems counterproductive and suicidal, because you are going to, for everybody is connected to other people, and for every person that you kill in the name of the cause, you're going to create an entire family of people who despise you. Doesn't matter if you have the best ideas in the world, they're going to despise you because of things that have nothing to do with logic and reason, but because you murdered family members of them. And I feel like there are way too many, like, armchair socialists on Twitter and stuff who think that, like, one, that they're going to somehow defeat the predator drones and the nuclear bombs and the, like, soldiers and everything like that to somehow take over the government. Even if they do, they think that somehow the most violent and authoritarian aren't going to be the ones who rise up in such a movement. And on top of that, they think that if they do that, you know, the family where you killed their brother, you killed their father, you killed their mother, you killed their sister, are just going to be like, okay, I guess the revolution's over now, go new state. Like, it's just... It's...
I have a much more sentimental take, because for me it's just like, and I don't want to presume to know what people are thinking who are advocating violence, but it's one thing to advocate it in theory, but have you guys thought about it in practice? Because I know this is naive and stupid, but violence just, it's fucking scary. Like, it just scares me. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it if we need to. But I do not think that that's the answer we should just go to initially, because, like, it's gonna end badly for a lot of people. People on both sides. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a wimp, but I'm kind of scared of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, Teresa's like, said I got riled up. I get riled up because I get, every single day, like, comments and nasty messages and stuff of people who are mad at me because I think that murder is bad. And it's just like, ugh, goddamn. I do think that, I'm not saying that, like, as a pacifist, I think that we need to, like, you know, slow reforms and electoralism is our way to solve things. Honestly, I don't know the answer. I don't, like, the state inflicts violence upon us. Capitalism inflicts violence upon us. That's why there are leftists out there. It's why there are fascists out there. Because by committing this violence against us, they have created their own enemies. And I don't see how us doing the exact same thing won't cause the exact same problem in the long term. And so, I'm more of an advocate for trying to not change the state, not try and, you know, join the system, because that's not going to accomplish anything, but to build a kind of society within the shell of the old and make the things that the state won't do, and just sort of stop, like, make the state irrelevant by just doing the things that they don't want to do. And I don't know the process of doing that. And trust me, I think that if you wanted, if you had a solution, or if you had an idea, and I don't think that the same idea will work in the same place at every time, that I think that you would, you will be considered a great person in history. I think that, like, one of the things that Noam Chomsky said fairly recently, I think, rings true, which is that right now we're kind of at a dearth for new ideas, and that's what we really need.
I think it's important that you all know that Tristan's forehead is crying. That's how riled up he's gotten. Also, it's kind of hot in here, but I like to think it's because you're all riled up.
I get riled up a lot.
That's true.
Cruz is a little bit ahead again. Makes me sad.
We're so close here.
Yeah, the Democrats are a tiny bit ahead now. in the house. Because yeah, you see, like here's the cities in Texas. So like now it's Iowa that's coming in, and Montana, and or Iowa's the one that is a little bit out of place.
Jared says sorry, he doesn't mean to provoke you. I don't know. That's all right.
That's all right, Jared. It's not you specifically. It is that I get comments like this on average about every 6 hours. And so it's a frayed nerve for me, I guess.
What's your response when people use Venezuela as a response to anything a bit leftist?
Oh, it's dumb. I know that you really like John Oliver, but it's the thing I get the maddest about him, Matt.
I love John Oliver.
The shit he says about Venezuela is so wrong, though. It's so wrong.
I feel like he did a piece on Venezuela not that long ago that wasn't so much like, oh, look what happened when leftism. Like, I thought, I don't know.
He comments on, like, there's been some like posts by like Telesort and stuff like that that showed that like a lot of the stuff that that John Oliver says about a lot of stuff that John Oliver says about the global South, especially when it comes to Venezuela, are sort of are very wrong, and very much come from a like American right-wing look at these things. What's your hot take about Brazil? Oh man, I don't know what to be more angry about. Think Brazil just depresses me because I don't know which is worse. The fact that the lungs of the planet are going to get bulldozed down and all the indigenous people who live there are going to get killed, or the end of democracy in Brazil, or just what other horrible surprises are just waiting for us.
Thanks for asking, Michael. How is everybody doing mentally? I feel like it's been a rough couple of years. It's hard.
I've gotten very vindictive. I feel like all the things the leftists have been saying for decades is like actually happening, and I have been on an "I told you so" type binge for 2 years now.
Yeah, it's kind of really shaped our conversations around politics over the last couple of years, because I've gotten really cynical and depressed about politics, and Tristan's gotten mad to the point where sometimes I'm like, who is this guy? Because Tristan doesn't get mad about stuff. Like, he clearly gets mad about politics and about injustice and things, but in general, he's a super laid-back guy. So when he gets all riled up about stuff, sometimes I'm like, well, I don't even recognize you. So, I mean, I think it's definitely affected us, and it's affected us in different ways. Don't you think, Tristan?
Yeah.
Also, Tristan acts like he's a robot and doesn't have feelings. I, on the other hand, have lots of feelings, like, all the time. So many feelings. So, that's fun. That's interesting.
There's a couple questions that didn't. The museum that burned down in Brazil had nothing to do with the election, but it was very sad. Very, very sad. All right. What are your thoughts on Ben Shapiro? Ben Shapiro is such a joke. I mean, he has way more influence than me, but also he's such a shitty person. His arguments are so shallow and so dumb. Like, I'm sure that everybody's talking about Ben Shapiro because ContraPoints made a video that basically was a response to Ben Shapiro. And ContraPoints just, like, pantsed Ben Shapiro and showed that, like, he has no argument. He's such a failure of a... Like, a lot of these right-wing people, like Sargon of Akkad, for example, these are people who try to come off as intellectuals, but they do no research, and they have no idea what they're talking about. And their logic and reason, facts and arguments are so bad and so paper thin that they fall apart with even the most basic analysis. But that's not what they're about. because they're not about saying things that are correct or making statements. They are propagandists. And so I feel like debunking them is not going to get anywhere because that's not the point. They're just trying to make a narrative for the right. And what we need to do is, instead of debunking theirs, because that doesn't get us anywhere, is to make a new narrative for us. Ben is definitely the Dunning-Kruger effect, the person.
I don't want to miss this. I want to go back for a second and say, Grappling Hooks, I'm sorry that you were going through a rough time, and I hope you're doing better. It sounds like recovering is a good word, so, yeah.
Grappling Hooks is a Discord regular.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to comment on one other thing that I forget.
Religious institutions influence their congregations for a vote in a certain way. Isn't that illegal? It's not. It is. If it's explicit, it is. They are. But churches have gotten very good at talking around that electoral politics and stuff like that. Because yeah, their tax exemption is beholden to them not getting involved in politics, and so they need to get around that in a way.
I'm sure recovery is a process. I've definitely never gone through dealing with suicidal thoughts, but I have dealt with depression, so I know it's definitely a process. So, sending light and love your way.
I agree. Grappling Hooks, you're a fan. Is that a good thing? No?
You're a fan? How is it?
Fam.
Oh, fam. I thought you were like, yeah, you're a fan, so I care about your mental health.
Laura, the new narrative for the left, solar punk. This is actually why, when I talk about like how narrative is super important, that's actually why I really like the fully automated luxury gay space communism idea, and that's like the thing that we really need to do, like, cause like, or really need to like talk more about, because that's like more of a thing that I think, a thing that we could actually like. It's a positive story that we could tell for the left. That's not like telling people what they can and can't do or can and can't say or anything like that. I think we need a positive message, and then like fully automated luxury gay space communism is exactly the kinds of things that we want. Ooh, here we go. I'm waiting for the entire U.S. to just collapse into the Atlantic Ocean, just sending the shit show for the U.S. government. But that's Melinda.
Oh yeah. Hey, Melinda.
She's in chat.
Nice. And yes, I mean, I also am sort of waiting for the U.S. to collapse into the ocean, so we'll see.
Hopefully Grappling Hooks, the good folks on Discord have got your back. Can you make a video on the Mondragon co-ops? I'm gonna have to be a lot more careful about what videos I do, or what topics I do videos about these days, or in the future, because I don't have too many. I'm not gonna be making them as often as I used to, so I can't just like make a throwaway video. I have to get like really excited about them. Solar is good, but we should not be afraid of nuclear, especially thorium rebreeders. I totally agree.
Oh my god, Tristan's obsessed with thorium reactors.
Yes, Lifter. Please, more Lifter reactors.
He's been talking about them for like several years now.
It's true. I thought Discord was a right-wing Nazi thing. It's an everything thing, Herbert. I know that there are a lot of Nazis on Discord, but they're not welcome in my Discord.
Ooh, yeah, Gad, then Canada will have a southern coast. That would be friggin' awesome.
So then, because one of the things that Canada always says is we go, everything is from coast to coast to coast. So we could have coast to coast to coast to coast.
Oh, Dad, remember when you were basically the father figure to all those kids? What happened to them?
When I was leftist internet dad?
Hey, are any of you guys from the old time streams?
Oh, man.
When you used to say that Tristan was your dad, which was kind of weird for me, but
yeah.
Also nice.
There was Dad, there was the Orc Gang.
The Orc Gang.
I don't think there's many Orc Gang people left anymore.
What'd you do to scare all those people off?
I don't know. I think it's just that it's just the streams from pre-Step Back Tonight.
Someone wants to know what thorium reactors are.
Oh, thorium is a It's a mineral that's found in a lot of rare earth mines, which is places that we're exploiting like crazy to make like touch screens and stuff like that. But also, thorium is a very common like substance that when you bombard it with neutrons turns into uranium-235, which means that it can sustain a nuclear chain reaction. But unlike like uranium dug out of the ground, there's a lot more of it. It's cheaper. It's less radioactive, so it creates less radioactive waste. And it can be mixed with instead of being solid pellets that are dropped into water to cool down, they can be mixed with fluoride salts at a temperature of 500 degrees Celsius to a liquid, and it's called thorium tetrafluoride. And this stuff is basically a liquid nuclear reaction. And the best thing about it being liquid is that it can... the best thing about that is that you can just... Like, if the power goes out, for example, or if, like, there's any of the context, like, where a meltdown might happen, it's easy to just have it drain into, like, a storage container and stick. And then whatever's left over it lives very little nuclear fuel, and it's just way more abundant and way easier to manage. So, like the nuclear reactors that manage thorium reactors have way fewer moving parts, and they're way simpler, and they require way less maintenance, to the point where like people have suspected that you could make thorium reactors that you could just bury for like a decade and not worry about. And you could just like bury them and they just provide power just sitting there. The reason why the reactors haven't been developed, they actually got sort of they got canceled in the 60s, like they stopped developing them, is because thorium can't be enriched to make plutonium for nuclear warheads, which is what a lot of nuclear research was for. And now nuclear power research is so stigmatized that it's hard to raise money for researching a new reactor. So that's it. That was a whole thing. I gotta say also thank you to Nightwatcher's Pet, my trusted moderator, for throwing out the crumb bombs. What's going on? Isn't the waste from thorium reactors more dangerous than nuclear? No, I think that it has a shorter half-life, so the fuel, while it might be more radioactive when it first comes out, it reaches a safe radiation level way faster than like in a matter of decades instead of like hundreds of centuries, like uranium reactors.
Oh. +7 Dems to the House so far.
Damn. Oh yeah, the Democrats are starting to pull ahead, 113 to 104. The other thing too is that thorium can be found like one rare earth mine, which there are tons of them, especially in China and in the American Southwest and in sub-Saharan Africa. There, like one thorium mine or one rare earth mine, which is already digging up stuff for liquid crystal displays and touch screens, can make enough thorium. It's just like a junk metal. It's a junk mineral that people throw away right now. Could provide enough to power a power plant for like indefinitely. Like when it comes to like uranium, we have enough uranium to power like nuclear power plants for a couple centuries. We have enough thorium to power all of humanity with our anticipated increase in energy use for millions of years. Especially if we can start filtering thorium out of seawater, which there is small amounts of thorium in seawater. Like, it would be a huge fuel resource. What happens if robots ever achieve consciousness? What do we do if they ask for rights? I suspect my theory is that we love to attribute human attributes to machines already. That like we're going to give a robot human rights even before they're conscious enough to appreciate it. Like we're going to invent like a sex doll that's realistic enough that we're going to want to give it human rights, and it's just going to be like glorified like Turing test type machine. I feel like robots are gonna have rights before they get true sentience.
It's very optimistic of you, considering how long it's taken to give people rights.
But just recognition, like, because like we've been so inundated with sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the second that a robot even shows even a tiny bit of intelligence, we're gonna like leap over ourselves to try to acknowledge it. Like think about it. Like what civil rights lawyer would not like want to be the person who argued that AIs have human rights?
That's not a spider on you, right?
No, that's just a bit of hair.
Fuzz.
Yeah.
What happened in Texas?
Texas, it's leaning more Cruz now.
Okay.
But by less than 1%, so it's still really close. Only 78% of things are in. It's still pretty close. But it does look like the Democrats are taking the house. It does look like Scott Walker is going to lose, though. Haha. It does look okay. So we got some Mountain Time states coming in. So surprisingly enough, in the House, it looks like it's pretty close right now. But it looks like Montana, the Democrats are ahead, which is really weird.
That is weird.
I don't expect that to stay very long. Several Arizona districts are going blue, which is to be expected.
Howdy hi, Jenga Tree.
Hey, Jenga Tree. Isn't Jenga Tree Swedish? It's like the middle of the night there.
I don't know. Maybe they woke up to listen to your take.
Oh, man.
Your hot takes.
See, like, okay, so, like, one of the things that was brought up as, for this election was whether or not the states were going to kind of go back to their pre-2016 status, and whether, like, whether the Trump train's really going to stick with it. And seeing here that Pennsylvania, here you go, Melinda, Pennsylvania is overwhelmingly going Democrat. Michigan's going Democrat.
What races are you talking about?
Senate.
Okay.
Wisconsin, Democrat. These are all incumbents. Like everyone was worried that these people were going to have to fight for their re-election.
Also, Jenga says that they're Welsh. So does that mean
they're
are
Welsh.
you in the UK?
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of these Democrats who were in red states look like they're doing okay. The only Democrat incumbent who's losing is in Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh, and McCaskill's losing in Missouri.
Don't blame me. I voted for Joe.
But unfortunately, there's not a lot of Senate races where the Democrats are getting a lead on the Republicans, like where the Republicans are the incumbent and the Democrats are like pushing ahead. Oh, did Romney just win Utah governor or Senate?
Yeah, I forgot he was.
Oh yeah, Mitt Romney's running partially ahead as a governor or as a senator for Utah.
Preparing for another run.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There was people were saying that he would there was this is a very donut Twitter thing too.
Oh my goodness.
That there was an attempt to when Mitt Romney was saying all those nasty things about Trump, they were like, let's draft Mitt Romney to run for leader of the Democrats.
Oh.
And it's like that is like the perfect like Hillary Clinton thing to do.
That's so much worse than Michael Bloomberg even.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm interested to see if any Republicans seriously challenge Trump in 2020.
Oh yeah, if
I really think Ted Cruz will. He doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck.
I don't know, Republicans value cohesion and loyalty so much that like I feel like anybody who tried to primary Trump would get because no one does that. It would be very unprecedented, and I don't think that the Republicans are very much all about, following orders and
It's true. They're not very good at standing up. I saw something, and I wish I would have read this article, but it was an article talking about Lindsey Graham and how when Trump first came out, he was, Lindsey Graham was, fighting him tooth and nail, and now he's become one of his most ardent supporters. What the hell happened?
We know what happened.
Do we?
It's the party. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, it looked like, I think she was declared the winner. Yeah. Ocasio-Cortez is projected to be the winner in New York's 14th district by 78% of the popular vote. So she freaking smoked it.
Oh, Republicans are up now.
The Republicans are up by 2 seats. It's going to be a squeaker. Keep in mind, friends. California, Oregon, and Washington, and Nevada have all not come in yet.
How's the gubernatorial vote in Florida?
Governor in Florida. DeSantis is ahead by about 1%. So it's still fairly close.
They're all spineless, the GOP. Yeah, unfortunately, I think the Democrats are pretty spineless too, so.
It does look like Cruz is going to win.
Oh.
But it does look like Evers is going to win in Wisconsin. So take that however it is. The thing is that the GOP are spineless, but they're spineless in a way where they will just do whatever the party command tells them to do. The Democrats are spineless in that the people who are in command are spineless.
Yeah.
And they won't take leadership over any issue at all. Because they're just they're so scared that if they take any progressive position, they're going to lose elections. When Ocasio-Cortez is winning by 78%, who's backed up by the Democratic Socialists of America. So, I don't know. If fascism keeps rising, does that mean the rise of imperialism will again? I hope not. Ugh. Again, imperialism's still a thing. This election is deciding your faith in the country? Oh boy.
You still have faith in your country? That's cute. Sorry, that's patronizing. But also...
Cruz is only ahead by 1.5%, but less than 30% have been counted. According to this, it says that 80% of them are... Oh, they're still... That's just votes that are in.
Deep philosophical things are happening in the chat. Terry talked about how everybody poops.
It's true.
I heard that was a book. We should get that book.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to go to the washroom. Can you...
Hold down the fort?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have somebody else who can do this.
I don't know. Do you ever think it feels kind of self-indulgent to just talk at a camera while 130 people watch you for 3 hours?
Yes.
It feels kind of self-indulgent. Alright, Tristan's gone. We can talk straight now.
The mods are asleep.
Yeah, mods are asleep. Any questions for me? I can't just do this thing he does where I just talk when no one's asking questions, though. I don't really know what you talk about. What do we do? How's it going? 30-second summary. No pressure. Looks like the House is a toss-up. Keeps going back and forth whether the Democrats or Republicans are leading. Senate looks like it's pretty much going to go to the Republicans. Not too many surprises. Yeah, not too much to report, I don't think. What does Tristan do that annoys me? So many things. No, I think it's interesting. One of the things that we have that we deal with is Tristan talks all the time about how he's ADHD, and so that I think is really interesting because it means he'll forget a lot of little things, which can be annoying. Fortunately, he's got like a really good system set up so that he doesn't, which actually is often so effective that I'll purposely ask him to remember to do something or put it on his list because I'll forget. In general, though, Tristan's a pretty laid-back dude, which is good because I am not always. So yeah, that's really good. Given your field, what's your opinion on evolutionary psychology? I think it's interesting, but it's ultimately we're not able to test it because, you know, you can't design an experiment to go back. So I think it's interesting in a philosophical sort of way, but I think a lot of it is speculation, or it seems like speculation. Do I D&D? Yes. I'm in a game. Well, I'm kind of in two games right now, both where Tristan is DMing. In one game, I am a half-elf bard named Claire Greensleeves. And in the other game, I'm a dwarf paladin named Arten Fireforge. What else? How did Tristan and I meet? We were both living in London, Ontario. At the time, we were both in grad school. And we met on OkCupid. Do I have dual citizenship? Nope, I'm a permanent resident right now in Canada. Probably in the next year or so, I'll be eligible for citizenship here. Except one of the weird things I have to do is take an English language test, even though I'm from the States and have a PhD in Canada. So that's weird.
Yeah, I just looked at 538 things, and they're saying that right now there's about a 2/3 chance that the Democrats are going to take the House, and about a 5% chance that they'll take the Senate. Less than 5%.
So wait, what was the first one you said?
2/3 chance that the Democrats will take the House.
Oh, okay.
So those are decent odds.
Somebody asked when you left, what do you do that annoys me?
I was eavesdropping a bit.
Well, so I talked about the ADHD thing and forgetting things, but I feel like you do a better job explaining the things that you do that annoy me than I would.
Yeah. Let's see. To count the ways. I forget shit constantly, especially like anytime Kelly tells me to do something but doesn't give it to me in text message or in writing.
I have to send him emails. Well, I'm supposed to. I never do, which is my fault. But I need to send tasks to him in email form.
Yes.
I get annoyed when you get all like when you, I don't know, talk about people. I don't know, like when you generalize. Basically, when you get riled up about things. He has a tendency when he's riled up to make extreme statements that I don't like. But
I am fairly obsessed with making step back work.
Oh my god.
Which makes me make some less than good career decisions.
Well, both career decisions and also... What's funny is the way he's constantly trying to change the way his like systems work for making videos and for making life work. So he's constantly like, "Oh, I changed my system and now I'm gonna do this and this and this." Like we have these same conversations all the time because he's constantly iterating. So which I think is really cool, but it ends up this like we have these same conversations. To be fair though. What do I do that annoys you?
You take up a lot of space. Not physically, but, like, your possessions.
What?
I was cleaning the bathroom today, and, like, you had...
You don't need room in the bathroom.
We have 2 rooms that make up the bathroom. The one sink area between hair stuff and makeup stuff and just random clothes... Like, you take up, and you have several rooms that are just yours.
Not several. You have this whole little office area.
That's true.
Also, do you need the bathroom area? We could make it work.
No.
Okay.
The other thing, too, is, when she does laundry, she leaves her clothes in the dryer forever.
That's true, I do that. Someone says, "Oh my God, such a man statement about ladies stuff." Good job, Tristan. Good job. Way to go. Where are the kitties? All right, I'll go find some cats.
Phoebe's right there.
Aw, she's laying down.
She's sleeping on my backpack.
I will.
Yeah, pick her up. Yeah.
Hey, Foobs. I'm sorry, but everybody wants to see you. Ah.
Yeah. Here, I'll hold her.
Want me to go find Romeo?
Yeah, he's on the ottoman. Hey, Foobs.
Rose. Let's go see some friends.
So this is Phoebe. I don't think anyone's ever seen both cats at the same time on the screen.
The whole family is in the room.
Yeah. So this is Phoebe. This is the 10-year-old girl cat, and that is the 5-year-old boy cat, or 4-year-old boy cat. Yeah, we got these two. So now it's a whole family. He's big.
He's heavy. I'm getting tired already. I think I gotta put him down. Say hi, Romes.
You keep an ottoman in the house.
Okay. I bought that ottoman with our wedding money. The ottoman and the couch.
I think he's making a joke about like a Turkish person.
Oh, true. But still, first real furniture that I purchased. I'm proud of that ottoman.
How are the Democrats doing? Let's see. House-wise, they're a little bit ahead of the Republicans right now. They looks like they've taken Montana. Montana at large has gone to the Democrats. 2 out of 3 of the districts reporting in from Utah are to the Democrats. They've taken basically the area around Denver and northern New Mexico and a good chunk of Arizona. Yeah, it's looking like the Democrats are going to get losses in the Senate, but they're going to take the House, which doesn't really do much.
I love the step back family photo.
There you go.
Our family's adorable.
Do your cats squeak or honk? Actually, Phoebe here barely ever makes noise at all. She's like perfectly silent. And Romeo makes a lot of noise. He meows a lot. Well, not a lot. He meows a normal amount for a cat.
Phoebe will, when she's hungry and you're in the process of preparing food, then she'll occasionally meow. But it's not very common.
But she makes her presence known through other ways. They're right now having their cat boxing in the background.
Cat fight! 125, 124.
I can't believe the House seat is going to friggin' Montana. Is going to the Democrats.
It's true.
And the Senate. Oh, even the Montana Senate race is going to the Democrats. Huh. Well, I guess he was the incumbent, and it's an upset for the House, but it's not an upset for the Senate.
So, what's our plus numbers now on the House? Let me see. Democrats have gained at least 10 of 23 seats needed to take the House, but key races are undecided.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like we've gained 11 seats in the House.
Constantinople, when the walls fell.
How high up are we in our apartment?
Jalad. Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra. We're on the 5th story.
5th floor, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're in a building that has 26?
25.
25? I can't get on.
No, 28. Sorry, 28 stories. What was that? Something, his arms wide.
Hmm?
I don't know. It's a reference to Star Trek Next Generation. A show that Kelly has not watched, but we'll get to it sometime.
126, 126.
Yeah, it's close. It's close, but think about it. Think about what's left after this, right? Like Utah's cleaning up. Iowa's a lot more Democratic than I thought. 3 out of 4 of the seats in Iowa are going to the Democrats.
Weird.
Oh, Steve King is the Iowa person who looks like they're winning, but it's close.
Brian, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know if you were here, people pay attention to U.S. politics in Canada pretty closely, especially lately, for a couple of reasons. One, because it's fun to watch, and two, because a lot of what the U.S. does has effects on Canada. And also, sometimes it's because people like me are Americans living in Canada. So, yeah, a lot of people pay attention here.
Also, keep in mind, we are kind of outliers. Like, we are more interested in what's going on in the U.S. than most Canadians are. Like, most Canadians aren't staying up watching the race. If it was a presidential election, maybe, but for the most part, most people aren't paying attention to this. But Kelly's American, and I study the U.S., so this is
Also, I did have a fair number of conversations at work today with people about the midterms, though. So people are paying attention.
And something like 40-something% of the Step Back audience is American, so...
Yeah.
What happened to the sound? Did something bad happen to the sound?
I don't know. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
How is Trudeau expected to fare next elections? Right now, we're at the point where current estimates say that Trudeau is likely to still win and probably still keep a majority. But the thing about Canada is it doesn't really work like in America. Like, America is always campaigning. In Canada, there's something called the writ getting dropped. And so when the election is, you can't run political ads until the writ's dropped. So the election really doesn't start until then. And then for like 2 or 3 months, things go crazy and a lot of swings happen. So in the meantime, it's not going to change for quite a while. But at the moment, if the election were held today, it would look like Trudeau would win again.
Ben wants to know what other countries Step Back fans are from.
Step Back, the biggest countries that Step Back fans are from...
I've got it right here. 48.1% United States, 8.7% Canada, 7.6% United Kingdom, 3.1% Australia, and 2.3% Germany. And nothing smaller than that we can see.
Yeah, so English-speaking countries.
Yeah.
And 8% Canada because I make Canadian history videos and I'm Canadian. And I imagine that I have a fair amount of viewers that are, friends and friends of friends and friends of friends of friends who are people that I just kind of roped in. We got Terry from New Zealand.
Somebody has a shout out to Canadian Idiot by Weird Al.
Canadian Idiot by Weird Al is pretty good.
Yep.
Welcome to New Zealand. We are very excited.
Oh, that's pretty good.
We are trying to change our flag, and it did not go well. There's my New Zealand accent.
Sometimes we're really good there, and sometimes less good. But yeah.
We is coming from New Zealand. Hello. I'm a Kiwi from New Zealand.
Weird Al in general is good. It's true. Weird Al were independent. He was independently a pretty big part of both of our childhoods.
It's true. I went to a Weird Al concert as a kid.
I did not do that. But I did own several of his CDs. And I think even today I know the words to Amish Paradise more than I know the words to Gangster's Paradise. So.
Utah.
Tristan, never forget your Lizard Nelson Mandela accent.
Do that. Yes. Okay, so that's so Petra Waifu is Melinda, who's another player in the D&D group where Kelly plays a paladin, and I made a shaman of the lizard folks who sounds like Nelson Mandela. Okay, let me just see if I can do this. Oh yes, I am the lizard. I can't even remember the name I gave to him, but if you want to sound like Nelson Mandela, you have to do long vowels, and you have to kind of speak and it's just like it's Nelson Mandela with kind of a weird Muppet voice.
Tristan's a really good DM because he has all the voices. Do your other voice.
You sound like South African Snape. That was the comment on my New Zealand accent.
No, that's true. Do your Hank voice.
Hank?
Hank. Isn't that guy from the games? The
Hank?
Beastmaster.
Oh, Ham.
Ham. Sorry, Ham.
See, his name is a representation of Brian. Brian is the character from the first arc of the Adventure Zone, and he's stole the voice to make a funny tiefling beastmaster who likes pretty things. What was another?
Wait, one more voice.
Oh, someone wanted me to do Australian.
Oh, okay.
So you just gotta get it's all good. You got no worries. You just gotta be a little bit Australian. So it's a very relaxed accent. It's
you switched into like 3 different things there.
no, it's all right.
Do your voice from Bob's
geez.
Burgers.
What? Oh, you mean the Teddy voice?
Yeah, do the Teddy voice.
Okay, I don't know, Bob. Yeah. Just gonna go put a shrimp on the babby. Yeah.
We've
It's too southern U.S. It's true. The line between doing like Jimmy Bob from I'm Jimmy Bob from Southern Bayou or something like that. Like like doing some sort like there's like a southern accent and Australian accent, and they can actually like they can mix up pretty much.
We've improved a lot because before the only voice he could do was Shrek, and so he just did Shrek all the time for everything.
Shrek.
Donkey, do it.
Donkey.
Get out of my swamp.
Get out of my swamp, donkey. Oh, jeez.
Fairy-tale creatures. Do it one more time.
Oh my god. I feel like I'm just like a toy.
You are a toy. Go.
Attention all fairy tale things.
Tell me that's not really, really good Shrek, though. That's really good Shrek.
Well, okay, like Jacob's saying, there's like, you need a whole bunch of accents. Like the South has all sorts of accents, because you could, you could be a fancy, lad from good old Georgia, like Mr. Lindsey Graham.
He is one fancy
He is
dude.
one fancy Southern belle. And it looks like we have just gotten a confirmation that the Republicans have taken the Senate.
He does, yes, Southern Belle, Terry. He sounds like a Southern Belle.
Oh shit! Someone wants a Cajun accent. It's like
Good luck.
Oh, we going down here. It's oh god, it's such a hard accent. Cajun's such a hard accent.
Okay, but I know this. Most of you aren't gonna know this, but do your Quebecois accent.
Salut, hello. My name is Jean-Guy Robert Bout. I am from the city of Chibougamau. It's in northern Quebec. Hostie tabarnak de colis. Oh no.
Man.
Green Element says do an Indian accent. That is the one that I famously cannot do without like being a complete Frank Azaria-esque stereotype. So yeah, the Republicans have the House, or the Senate, but not the House.
Yeah, don't scare people.
Guarantee. My name's Daddy. Charles Daddy. I'd have to work on a Cajun accent a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
I do like doing accents, though. I really need to do a better Australian accent, because, yeah, my Australian and my Southern accent just bleed into each other too much. And, yeah, doing a accent of people of color would probably not be great.
Yeah, good point.
The only reason that, like, Indian accents, like, why I'm just surrounded, I grew up with a lot of Indian people, and so, like, the accent would take me a while, but, but in that D&D game, I actually have a character who has an Indian accent, and I have not been able to not fuck it up.
Do Cajun in French. I feel like Cajun French is not French, though. I mean, it is, of course, but I feel like it's very...
I don't know, cher. Is... Salut, je m'appelle Tristan Johnson. Je suis de Louisiana, New Orleans. That's
pretty
not
good.
the worst.
No, it's pretty good. Can you do Smeagol?
I can, but it wrecks my throat. It wrecked Andy Serkis's throat, from what I remember, too. Andy Serkis, when he was doing the Gollum voices, threw so much into it that they basically had to regularly feed him this stuff called Gollum juice, which were these, it was these water bottles filled with tea, lemon juice, and honey. And he was, like, mainlining this shit because the Gollum voice just wrecked his vocal cords. And so in order to keep doing it, because when Andy Serkis was doing the motion capture for The Lord of the Rings, on set, he was just wrecking his voice doing it. Try a Spanish accent. I'm trying to think of the accent, because, like, I speak... Everyone makes fun of me whenever I speak Spanish because I sound like a Spaniard, so it's like...
Ooh, a Russian accent.
Russians always sound like they have lots of marbles in their mouth. Compared to, like a Polish person, they always sound a little bit more marbly.
Can you do a Cockney accent, somebody asked?
Oh, jeez. I just have to think of Tracer. Tracer is like the Cockney accent that comes into my head. Like, cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
That sounds a little too posh, I think.
Cheers, love. The cavalry's here.
That's not... Isn't Cockney a little bit more,
It's working class Londoners, yeah?
Ted
My name's Teddy Williams, and I come from West London. Ted won. We're all going to die. Oh, God. Ted Cruz, is he... I'm not... Oh, yeah, he's predicted to be the winner now. That sucks.
In Soviet Russia, accent imitate you.
In Soviet Russia. No, the thing is, about when it comes to the Slavic accents, I know people are gonna... There's people from Eastern Europe who are gonna fucking kill me when I say this. But when you're talking about Russian, you have to have... There's sort of like you're speaking from the lower registers, but then... Like, when you want to do, like, a Polish accent, which a lot of people, when they do a Russian accent, they do a Polish accent. And a Polish accent is more like, trying to think about, it's Chekhov, right? Like, Chekhov in Star Trek was doing a Polish accent. Don't know what they're going to do, Captain. It's very much more high-pitched, and it's a lot less mumbly. It's a lot less, like, that's like the difference between like the two, like, Eastern Europe, at least like Polish and Russian, because like when a lot of English speakers do a Russian accent, they do a Polish accent, because Russian, you have to make your vowels a lot smaller. Did Jeb win? Jeb always wins.
Are you gonna make a vid on
Chokonma?
Yeah.
Chokuvma. No, that's not that.
Cockney Tristan has a twinge of Southern in it too.
Jeez. Yeah, all of my like non-rhotic English accents with the R's, right?
Missouri accent. So what? That's when you hear my Southern, my Chicago
Missouri accent. I'll just channel Mr. Beat.
Yeah.
We've been going steady for a whole day now. You hear? Oh, no, it's like that's a little bit too southerny.
Yeah.
It's too much drawl there. Because like people from the South have a little bit of a thing, but like I'm trying to, because like I always think of that time the most like Midwestern-y, southern Midwestern-y voice that Mr. Beat ever did was when we went out to that Italian restaurant that one time, and he was like talking about his wife, and
we've been going steady.
We've been going steady for a long time now.
Yeah. When I said the word accent, Accent. I really heard my Midwest.
Oh, jeez.
Do Japanese.
Japanese. I am Kirosokuro, coming from Japan. The trick to speaking Japanese, you have to sound like you are lifting a house.
I have yet
That's
to hear
very
Kristen say it.
stereotypical. That's very much like...
It's not. People say it. I found myself... Oh, sorry.
I just sound like Hanzo.
I thought you were talking about... I've never heard Tristan say A, somebody said.
Sorry. I say A all the time.
He says A. And I find myself saying it, too. It's very useful.
I also, like... Inflection is important for an Aussie accent. It's true. I haven't worked on my Australian accent all that much. Especially with the or. Store.
No, that was Boston.
Store. Yeah, going down to the store. Ah, crap, the sacks.
Do Japanese schoolgirl voice? Please don't do that.
Oh god, no. My voice can't go that high. Some of these accents are painful.
Okay, the Canadian a boot thing is not really true. It's kind of a media thing. They do say it's slightly different than we do in the States, but it's more like it's definitely not a boot.
Okay, Dookie.
What?
That word that they got us to say means it's a racial slur for a black or a brown person with a massive penis.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
used
success,
in Percy
people.
Jackson movies, memed a lot.
Success, people. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Torontonian accent.
I pretty much have one.
The only thing about Toronto is you got to say Toronto. You can't say the Toronto.
Yeah, there's a lot of parts of like, all right, the Southern Ontario accent. The big things, don't pack your car and have it yet. The tricks of doing what was I talking about?
The trick to Ontario accents,
oh, yeah.
Toronto?
So Ontario's accent is that Ontarians drop a lot of random syllables. So like, as you said with Toronto, you don't say the T. I grew up around this. I have a Toronto accent, basically. But some things that we say a lot, probably. We don't say probably, we go probably.
No, we say probably, where I'm from, too.
Like a lot of those dropped things like that. Some people say there's a little bit of weirdness when we say about and boat.
That's what we were talking about just now.
But it's not that strong.
Is Canadian English generally perceived as better enunciated? I don't think so.
No.
There isn't really a, like... And there's actually a fair bit of difference in how people pronounce things even here. So
I think Canadians are so successful in media because our accent is just so, like...
pretty generic.
Yeah, it's pretty generic. Like, nobody would recognize it. But, like, in Toronto, you have, like, you have the Queen's Quay, and you have Etobicoke, and a bunch of places that, like, you just need to know how to pronounce them because, like, you would not know from reading it how it's pronounced.
Yeah, and there's definitely Fionn. There's definitely a classist element here for sure. There's a lot of classism in language for sure.
Oh yeah, there's tons. That's the whole Cockney accent's about, yeah. No, god damn it, I can't do it. I don't know what's going on.
You know that thing in, I think it's Austin Powers, where him and his dad speak in they have this whole dialogue in Cockney. You need to practice that.
Yeah. Unless you're Irish. I feel like I'm the only person, though, in North America who has an easier time doing a New Zealand accent than, like, an Australian one.
I feel like Doctor Who is trying to have an English accent diversity program.
This is true.
The new Doctor's accent is very...
She's very, very much from Yorkshire.
House Called for Dems?
The House has been called for the
I don't know.
Democrats.
Somebody said that, but
The Senate's been called for the Republicans. But
I don't think the House has been called yet.
it's close, though. I can imagine, though, looking like this, like, look how close it is right now, and look at the states that are left.
Yeah.
Like, the Democrat, it's like 50-50, but, like, the next states to come in, the states that are going to come in at 11 o'clock are, like, Washington, Oregon, California, and Nevada, as well as Idaho. Yeah, Democrats close to taking the House, so it's close. It hasn't been called yet. I really hope that nobody has taken personal offense to the accents I've done.
Oh yeah, I guess we should have maybe.
I just it's more experimenting. I know that my accents are bad and I practice them sometimes, and mostly it's just for DMing, but like some of them, like trying to get my Indian accent, I try to work on for this one character in D&D, but I am so embarrassed to do it that I can't even come close. We even used to play in a bar and I'd be too embarrassed to do it in public.
Yeah. But Fiona, I definitely think that it sounds like sociolinguistics sounds super cool. It's really interesting. Yeah, one's for POCs. Yeah, that's why we try to avoid those mostly.
It's funny. I take offense. As a Californian, I take offense at you attempting. I have, what's it called? I do have that one character. I have a half-orc blacksmith who kind of has a Californian accent.
Oh yeah.
Because he's like kind of like, he's a bit of like a, he's like he has this kind of deeper voice, but he's kind of like, he's a little bit like a Californian, like he kind of is just really cool and like
got like a surfer dude.
He's got kind of like a surfer going to it, but he's not a surfer. He just likes to like, yeah.
He's a blacksmith.
He's a blacksmith. He likes to make stuff. Yeah, that's like the half-orc blacksmith named Odor.
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 Yeah.
But I love doing voices, and I love practicing voices, and the players seem to really like when I do voices. I mean, I've gotten, 2 of them are here, and they both have said that they liked it. One in the chat and one here.
Yeah, I do.
The other 3 guys in the game, I have to ask them. Do voice acting. I would love to do voice acting. I think that it would be really fun for me, but it is a super, super competitive field.
If anyone's got a connection, let him know.
Like, it's, like, the kind of voice acting that I'd like to do, there's, like, 10 people who are doing all of the voice acting. Because you just come in and do your lines. So, like, it's got, like, there's 10 people doing all the voice acting in the world, and like 7 of them are in critical roles.
Gad says, "Who would have sex with an orc? Half orcs make no sense." I think that's a very good point.
Excuse me. The half orc character went on a date in the campaign with a player character.
That's
so let's see. I actually described the player, and if I recall correctly, I described this player character, or this NPC half-orc blacksmith, and he got swooned after by 2 people.
Oh yeah, your description of him was definitely good.
Peter Coffin does do some voice work, yes.
That's true. That would be a...
But he does more like, he does more voiceover. He doesn't do voice acting.
You would do voiceover too. You have done a little bit of voiceover, mostly amateur-y kind of stuff for people.
Yeah. I've done some voiceover stuff. None of it paid, but... In all caps. Remember when I crashed a Dragonborn wedding and slept with the bride? Good times. Yes!
Yeah,
your character seduced a Dragonborn woman. That was the whole thing.
Our campaign goes off the rails a little bit. Last time we had a bit of a BDSM thing going on accidentally.
Yeah, and it's always her.
It's always her. Yeah.
The one with the half-orc date, though, and the seducing the Dragonborn happened in the exact same session. And so that date, I think, that was like the horniest D&D session I've ever been associated with.
Half-orcs make sense. Ted Cruz has a wife.
That's what to say.
Oh my god. I feel like we're being really mean to Ted Cruz.
It's okay. He's a terrible person.
Oh, Kim Davis is that Kentucky clerk's name. We were just talking about her.
Yeah.
I forgot her name. Ted Cruz is more of a goblin than an orc. Yeah, I could see that.
Ted Cruz is more of a Kuatoa for like the real D&D folks. They're like fish people. They're like fish people who worship like an ancient evil god that they made up themselves. Like they have this weird thing where like they can believe in gods so hard that they become real. And so the Kuatoa, they're based on the Kuatoa, I think, no, that's a different monster. They're kind of based on the monsters from Shadow over Innsmouth, which is a Lovecraftian short story. Man, it's getting close.
Someone asked about if we have any reasonable hope for Beto. I think they called it for Ted, didn't they?
Yeah, it's pretty much been called for Ted Cruz now.
It's not official, though.
It's projected winner, though. Unfortunately. Looks good there for a bit.
Oh.
Shadow over Innsmouth is the one where, like, the people of this town start becoming fish people. And I think that there actually is a D&D monster that's based on the Shadow over Innsmouth people. What's up? Oh yeah, Nightwatch Pet, I am definitely a Fade to Black DM as well. I did not go into any detail, but that was just a session where there was like a date and seduction that happened in the same session. I rolled to seduce the table. It hasn't gotten that crazy.
Well, Linda said she uses D&D to take out her frustrations, whether they're PG or R.
Jeez.
Damn.
The best part is that on the date with the orc, I kept dragging it out to make it more and more awkward.
Yeah.
Until basically playing awkwardness chicken with the player, until he just was like, "Oh my god, can we please stop this?" It was great.
Oh man.
They're called the Deep Ones, and they worship Dagon. Okay. What mythical creature is Dennis Prager? Dennis Prager is an aboleth. Because Dennis Prager is like, he corrupts people around him. He's got his tentacles and everything. I haven't given you guys an aboleth yet. You guys aren't ready for an aboleth. It's like a giant evil sea monster.
Yeah, that sounds like a little bit beyond us.
Sagan are the ones based on the Deep Ones. Then Kuatoa are based on Lovecraft. Cypher, can you tell that Lovecraft is racist? Yeah, you can totally tell that Lovecraft is racist. Lovecraft, a lot of Lovecraft stories come from him being basically extremely terrified of anybody who's different from him. Like the fact that in the Call of Cthulhu, all of the evil cultists are like foreigners and black people. Like, yeah. If you're made supreme ruler of the world, what would you change first? Capitalism? I'd get rid of that real quick. Jordan Peterson is a goat man. Ted Cruz is a flump. Yes. Oh my god. Do you want to see a flump?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can even show them the flump.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if it's in the Monsters Manual or something else. I think it might be.
You have too many books. That's true.
Talk to them while I get this out.
I don't know how to just talk at the audience.
I don't know. Say stuff.
Say what, though? My brain doesn't have... I mean, my brain has thoughts, but not thoughts that everybody needs to hear.
That's the trick. I don't either, but I just kind of keep doing stuff.
How's the monster manual organized? Is it alphabetical?
Yeah. Kind of like, but like then it'll have like under D for dragon, then it'll have all the different types of dragons.
Hi, David. Yes, we are still going. I think... I don't know. I don't know what our plan is. If we have plans. Oh.
That's a flump.
What the? Okay, show them.
They're like friendly little squid monsters that live in the Underdark.
Jeez.
They're actually very nice, but they're kind of a joke. They're kind of like a D&D meme. You guys are so positive. I need to be uplifted. Aw, thank you, Princess Horsefeathers. I appreciate that.
Nice.
we uplifted.
So
And David Chipman's here. Hey, David.
yeah, he just said, "Oh, so cute" about that flump. So we just watched the latest episode of Doctor Who, and there was this adorable little creature in it
That
so,
like eats spaceships. I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. So you should check that out.
It's like this, like the whole episode is that there's like this little monster that eats spaceships. I was just like, this is great. I want more of this. I don't know what it is, but I love it. It's such a perfect like, it's such a perfect like Doctor Who monster.
Graham, my thought about why people started caring about race is that they could use it as a tool, a tool to divide and conquer and separate people. What do you think, Tristan?
Race is a like, it depends upon what you mean by it. Race is a thing that developed over time. There was a time where, like, basically in my mind, what we call racism today and what we call race is in many ways the scars of imperialism and colonialism on our societies. If you think about the people who experience racism, it's people who have been enslaved or conquered or forced into unequal relationships because of imperialism and colonization that have then been turned into long-term class relations between them. And so really, in my mind, fighting racism is a decolonization process.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a class that is the best class?
History class.
No, sorry, in D&D.
Oh, like, what do you mean by best class?
What did they say? Where did I see? Oh, in your opinion, which class is the best D&D class?
Oh boy. Okay, someone's like say, yeah, racism has been around before the Greeks and the Romans. That's a different thing though. I think that like people have brought that up before, that like, oh yeah, the Greeks call these people barbarians. That's like that was racism too. And it's like the fact that it was so explicitly based on skin color is fairly like, it's different. Okay, so a couple things. First of all, the Democrats have been the House has just been called for the Democrats.
Woo!
And on top of that, Michigan and Minnesota are going to elect the first two Muslim women to Congress.
Awesome. Where'd you see that?
It's up at top.
Oh, at the top.
So Michigan and Minnesota will elect the first two Muslim women to Congress. Oh yeah, Oregon's just come in.
What's happening on the? Have you looked at the referenda at all?
I have not seen the Michigan referendum.
Let me see.
But I do think that like the classical age, like, you know, calling people who were not Greek barbarians and stuff like that is a different phenomenon than like racism as we know it today. Racism as we know it today is from colonization. But yeah, it looks like CNN is at least projecting that the Democrats are going to take the House. Oregon just came in, and yeah, like all but one seat went to the Democrats. Surprise, surprise.
I'm looking at this. Oh wait, the dashboard. Trying to find the. So, 43% reporting Michigan has said yes to legalizing recreational marijuana.
Cool.
Although it's not confirmed yet, but that's the direction. North Dakota is saying no to legalizing marijuana, 81% reporting. Missouri is going to allow medical marijuana with 4% tax. Missouri is also going to allow, or it's not going to allow it with a 15% tax or a 2% tax. So Missouri is interested in the 4%. Looks like Utah is leaning towards saying yes to medical marijuana. Alabama said yes to a state policy against abortion, so that's a thing.
Is there anything about Michigan's anti-gerrymandering referendum? Or California? I guess California's not in yet.
Missouri voted to raise the minimum wage. And Arkansas is leaning toward increasing the minimum wage.
We're still streaming. This is actually around the time we said we were going to stop.
I know we're streaming.
No, but like, it's after 11.
I don't see.
How are we doing numbers wise?
We're still at
97.
97. Lots of people are, for some reason, spending their evening with us.
Yeah. It's been fun.
Yeah, I've had fun. Have you had fun having me on?
Yeah, now you know why I do this every week.
Yeah, it's good times.
What class would Ted Cruz play in D&D? But he's only playing 4th edition because he's bonkers. I mean, I'm going on a theme with this, but I think that he would be a warlock with a pact with the Great Old One. As for, like, my favorite D&D class, oh, geez. Jeez, I've only ever played a handful. I think I like monks. I like monks a lot. More Mrs. Step Back, please. All right. Maybe we'll have you back next. Fighters are also really good because monks or fighters, you can do a whole lot with them. They can be basically anything you want them to be. I do have a plan someday to make a fighter, like the straight up most, like the most boring combination, the fighter champion fighter, and be but using a bow and being like Hawkeye basically. Like not fancy, not like able to do backflips or sneak around and stuff, just really fucking good at shooting arrows.
We were on recommended videos while someone was watching a Call of Duty Zombies vid.
Oh, that's neat.
Cool. So are you new then, Warren?
Well, Warren, welcome.
Have you been here before?
Tristan still till I'll stay until all the inner 48 states are done.
What time is California supposed to be done? Or
California should have closed just now. So
okay.
Like the West Coast is starting to come in right now. After what's it called? After the states are the polls are closed, so now they got to like process them. Then like I'm not going to wait until 1 a.m. for Alaska or like tomorrow for Hawaii.
Well, welcome, Warren. I'm actually not normally part of the channel. Tristan does this. He makes history videos and does streams every Tuesday night talking about alternate history, current events, sometimes doing a bad job playing Assassin's Creed.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Someone's still holding out for Beto. Oh, man. But yeah, so this was actually kind of like a... I'm sure people will be picking it apart. I'll have to pick it apart because I'm going to make a quick step about this election tomorrow. But it is looking like exactly what everyone predicted happened.
Yeah.
Well, then now California's starting to come in. Here's LA.
I always forget how so much of California is actually Republican.
Yeah. My boy Beto. Yeah, the thing about Beto O'Rourke is that he's like also he was like in like a death metal band or something like that too, and like he was like somebody what's it called? They keep saying it's like voting for Bart Simpson.
Okay.
The House is confirmed for the Dems. Michael Collins says that you should be more part of the channel.
Oh. I don't know if Tristan wants that.
Could be fun, depending upon what Kelly wants to do. Who knows? Maybe she can stick around. Now that she doesn't have to do girl guides, maybe she can stick around for some Step Back Tonights or come in whenever she feels like it. I feel like doing it all the time might bore her of it.
Yeah. I can guest spot. I think as long as I don't have to listen to myself. I don't want to have to listen to it. But maybe if I'm on more, I'll get used to that.
Oh yeah, California's starting to roll in now. So we'll see where that goes, but it's looking pretty good for the Democrats in the House.
What part of Canada are you from, Graham?
Graham.
Sorry, didn't mean to mispronounce your name.
Upside to the red parts of California, gay cowboy weddings. Grant's from Vancouver.
Nice.
All the way out west.
I haven't spent enough time in BC. I went to Victoria for the first time this summer. So beautiful, though.
I have not been to BC in the 21st century.
I was only in Vancouver twice. One time it was for 24 hours in February and it poured the whole time, so not the greatest. And the second time I kept getting stranded at the airport. So I need to go actually have a good experience with Vancouver because I know it's a cool city.
Yeah, I went to... I have family that live in BC, and I visited them when I was 11 or 12, or 10 or 11, so that would have been 1999, I think, the last time I went to LA.
Cute Fuzzy Weasel, I love living in Canada. I like it a lot. It's great.
It's good. Sometimes.
Okay, so everyone wants us to talk about Kansas apparently has...
Democratic governor?
Democratic governor. Which
Cool.
is good, because Chris Kobach was the Republican, right? Was he the one who was like a disaster? Or no?
Maybe. The coolest thing about Kansas and why this is a huge deal is because
Or was that Missouri?
There was a point where Kansas was the reddest state in America, where Kansas had a Republican, all the House members were Republican, all the senators were Republican, the governor was Republican, and the state House and the state Senate and the state House and the state Senate were also 100% Republican. There was a time where the Republicans completely controlled Kansas, and it was supposed to be Kansas and I think Missouri were supposed to be like experiment states for basically like AIPAC's whole legislative agenda. Like Kansas is the state that where like they cut their budgets so much that they were because they couldn't maintain it, they were actually unpaving roads.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, like
I remember that. Yeah.
They cut their budget so much that like it turned into like Mad Max.
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy.
Yeah, Kansas like had a little bit had it for like such a short amount of time, but like they basically just got destroyed. The Republicans lead in the House, but it's already been called for the Democrats because of the states that are coming in. Like Nevada, like Las Vegas and Clark County and all them are all going to go for, or Cook County, sorry. They're all going to go in for the Democrats. Like, hi, Waldo. Uh-oh.
What?
Oh, no. Oh, okay. There's like a lag or something. How does the election affect Canada? Not a whole lot, really. But Kelly's American, and I'm a studier of America. And a lot of you guys are American, so we'll talk a lot about it.
Yeah, we're lagging.
We rip stream, but it should be back now.
Good.
Yep.
Does that say 962 what?
Playbacks.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
It's good to do a stream on a big night like this.
It is. Gotta get that sweet, sweet watch time.
Oh, boy.
We haven't, I haven't gotten any comments in a while. Oh, it's back.
Yeah, I think our internet just, like, farted for a second.
Oh, look at this. 41,799.
Jeez, yeah, almost at 41,800 subscribers, folks. That's pretty cool.
And this is probably behind.
Yeah, I could take a quick look. Still 86 of you out there. This is, like, such a huge thing. How does Canada treat its Native Americans? It's not like the U.S., but it's still not good. Canada has a lot more Indigenous Americans than... Like, our Indigenous population is a lot bigger than in America. Like, I think they're a way higher percentage of our population. But they're not... we still have a reserve and reservation system. I think it's better than America, but because of the higher numbers, it's still... it's a national disaster.
The way I see it, and I mean, take this with a grain of salt because I am not, I'm not part of, an indigenous community. But at least we're having the conversation in Canada. I feel like we're not even having a conversation about our Native people in the States. So I think that's probably at least a good thing. It means we're maybe moving in the right direction here. But
can we do a D&D chat stream sometime? Maybe. Every time I do that, nobody comes out to watch. It just like torpedoes it, but maybe I'll do one sometime. It'll be fun. David Chipman says he agrees with you. You remember David?
From?
The first fan meetup?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I do.
Canadian politicians are way more openly prejudiced towards Native Americans. That is true. Especially in the prairies. Like in Saskatchewan and Alberta and stuff like that, you definitely see that a lot. Yeah, Nevada is all leaning Democrat. And look at that. Look at that California. Oh, that's still gray. Never mind. I'm seeing blue and gray. It's just my brain's melting. Look at that. Look at that Seattle and Washington coast. And yo, step back. Can you dab live? I don't know. Can I?
I don't think I actually know how to dab.
All right, I did it. I'm gonna get like 1,000 viewers now. There's like 1,000 people watching the stream now because
somebody should take a screenshot of that and make it some kind of meme and put it in the Discord.
Someone's gonna make it a GIF.
Ooh, a GIF. Yeah.
I need to have like I need to like flip a water bottle and do that. Like take do that thing with like the half-filled water bottle where you flip it and then it lands on the thing and then
How was your weekend, Tristan?
My weekend, I did nothing. It was great. I had a very busy week, and so it was good to have a not busy weekend. And then on Sunday, I had some freelance video editing to do, so I was doing that for the most part. It's funny because I spent a lot of time because of how dumb Diablo Immortal the announcement was. I was just like it was so dumb, but it got me thinking about Diablo again, and so I played Diablo 3 a lot over the weekend, which was neat. How long are you all planning on streaming? Honestly, now the races are called and the West Coast is starting to come in, so really, whenever we feel like it. I'm gonna end any moment now, I think.
It's probably good.
Should probably do it now, actually.
You have to get up and go to work in the morning.
It's true.
Having a real job
Yeah.
kind of sucks.
Sorry, Paige. All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's wrap up. So, as like kind of the conclusions went, I said that the Democrats were going to win the House, not win the Senate, and that the numbers were not going to be as good as people thought they were going to, which looks like exactly what has happened. So that's not a surprise. I hope you guys, this completely non-surprising election happened, but it does show that Trump's armor has been chipped, and we're going to see what a Democratic House is going to do for the next 2 years, and what it says about the tides turning towards 2020. So it'll be interesting to see what a Trump presidency with a Democratic House looks like.
Yeah, I think I'll need to spend some time doing some processing about what this means and listening to some stuff when we're off stream next couple days.
I'll see about getting Kelly to show up more. I also think that I'll probably process this a little bit because tomorrow I'm going to record a quick step for Thursday about the election, so I'll probably read some think pieces and do some thinkling more tomorrow, and we'll see where it goes.
Did you say thinkling?
Yep.
Well, thank you all for being so welcoming and for letting me join. If you're not, you should come join us in the Discord.
Yep. I'll put out a Discord link one more time.
And America's a little bit more hopeful, a little bit better than it was a few hours ago. Yep. Not a ton, but a little bit. So.
And of course, if you just found this channel through like a suggestion or something, you should subscribe to Step Back, or you should like this video and you should share another video about it, and I'll have more about this tomorrow. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's good. We're good.
I just wanted to get this wrapped up stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.